Parliament. Who won day one, round one? That's the big question we're going to raise. Also, has the countdown to 2024 begun with that motion? And we'll also raise the other big question. Bulldozer Raj in new instant justice or illegal and unconstitutional? We're going to talk tough, and also talking tough with us will be Derek O'Brien, who's making the headlines. Was he suspended, not suspended from the Rajya Sabha? That story also coming up. But first, as always, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9. Day one of a fiery no-confidence motion in Parliament. The Congress targets Modi government over Manipur violence. BJP taunts Raul and Sonia Gandhi on corruption and dynastic politics. Heated war of words between Rajya Sabha Chairman Jagdeep Dhankar and Derek O'Brien in the House. The TMC MP asked to leave Parliament but isn't suspended. Did the government backtrack? AAP MP Raghav Chadda now faces a privilege motion over alleged forged signatures for a proposed select committee on the Delhi Services Bill. 6 MPs say names were added without consent. Raul Gandhi's Ghar Wapsi day after being reinstated as Lok Sabha MP gets his 12th Tughlaq Lane bungalow back. Raul says entire India is his home. Showdown over news portal NewsClick escalates. BJP alleges left leader Prakash Karat linked to American billionaire Neville Roy Singham, who funds outlets for China propaganda. Left denies the charges. Manipur police lodge FIR against Assam Rifles personnel for obstructing police during violence breakout at Kwakta district on August 5th. Claim Assam Rifles allowed Kuki militants to escape. Muslim body Jamiat Ulema-e-Hind approaches top court against Bulldozer action in Haryana's new. Senior lawyer Kapil Sibal also moved Supreme Court against Gurugram Mahapanchayat, says calls to boycott Muslims has been made. Amidst rising crimes against women in Rajasthan, Gehlot government cracks down on all rape accused, issues ban on government jobs for all molestation and rape history sheet has. ED heat on Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren. Enforcement watchdog summoned Soren on 14th August over land scam probe. But first, to a major controversy that's happened in Parliament today. Heated exchange between the Rajya Sabha Chairman and Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar and TMC MP Derek O'Brien. There's a controversy now over Derek O'Brien's outburst in the Rajya Sabha. The move to suspend the TMC MP has now been dropped. Derek O'Brien was asked to leave the Parliament, has returned 35 minutes later. The big question, of course, is will Derek O'Brien apologize for his remarks as demanded by the chairman and the vice president of the country, Jagdeep Dhankar? Let's just play some of those fiery scenes for you. What happened in the Rajya Sabha, and then go to Derek O'Brien. Listen into that fiery exchange between the Trinamool Congress MP and the chairman of the Rajya Sabha, the vice president, Jagdeep Dhankar. Take a look.
Are you raising point of order? Rule book. First the rule. Under which rule?
The rule is on page 92.
Yes, which rule?
The rule is 267. The leader of the opposition has been asking for a discussion on Manipur.
Take your seat.
You allow the discussion on Manipur. That's my point.
Honorable members, I name Mr. Derek O'Brien. He must leave the house. I name him. Leave it over. Yes.
I wish to move a motion for the suspension of Mr. Derek O'Brien for the remainder of this session for continuously and willfully disturbing the proceedings of the House, for disobeying the chair, and for continuously creating disturbance in the House. Respected sir, with your permission, I move for a motion that Shri Derek O'Brien be suspended from the services of the House for the remaining part of the current session for his unruly behavior unbecoming of a member of Rajya Sabha today, the 8th of August 2023, shouting slogans from the well of the House, thereby disregarding the authority of the chair, and from his chair disregarding every instruction of the chair, bringing disrepute and shame to this august house.
Derek O'Brien is directed to leave the House. He is suspended for the rest of the session. The House is adjourned to meet at 12 noon today.
Derek O'Brien initially asked to leave the House, a resolution being passed by Piyush Goyal, the leader of the government in the Rajya Sabha, that Derek O'Brien should be suspended, and then he wasn't suspended. So what really happened? Derek O'Brien, Trinamool Congress MP joining us. Suspended or not, Derek O'Brien, what has happened? You have, the chairman of the Rajya Sabha says you were engaging in unruly behavior. What really happened? Are you suspended or not?
You see, I'm not the person who can answer that question. All I know is the rules of the Rajya Sabha clearly state that if a motion has to be brought, a motion has to be voted upon, and after that motion is voted upon, then the member can be suspended. No motion has been voted upon today, so perhaps you should have also listened, Mr. Sardesai, to the 2 p.m. what the chairman have to say. The issue is that, okay, the issue is not whether Derek O'Brien is suspended or not suspended. The issue is much, much bigger. By the way, there's no suspension. The motion hasn't been moved. The issue is a much bigger issue. And let's not, with all this, get distracted from that big issue. What is that big issue? The India Alliance, Congress, Trinamool, DMK, AAP, JDU, RJDs, SP, Shiv Sena, CPM, CPI, NCP, JMM, plus, of course, the Alliance plus BRS, all these parties together are making one appeal to the Prime Minister of India. Honorable Prime Minister, sir, you've never answered any questions ever in Parliament. You haven't come here for 19 days to speak on Manipur. You've come here in 2021 in the whole year for 4 hours. You campaign in 1 day in 4 hours. You pass bills in Parliament. 1/3 of those bills are anti-federal. Mr. Prime Minister, what can be so important that you don't want to come to Parliament? These are all members of Parliament. Mr. Prime Minister, you're the first Prime Minister of India to be born in independent India. Come to Parliament. Talk to us about Manipur. Even if you don't talk to us first, then listen, then talk. Mr. Prime Minister of India, you're a child of federalism. You were the Chief Minister of Gujarat. So Manipur is a state.
No,
for
did you explode? Are you telling me you exploded because of the Prime Minister still continuing not to speak on Manipur in Parliament? He will speak, of course, in the Lok Sabha on the no confidence motion on Thursday. But what sparked off this sudden heated round between you and Jagdeep Dhankar? Derek O'Brien ko gussa kyun aaya?
This is not, don't make it a matchup between the chairman of the Rajya Sabha and the parliamentary party leader of the Trinamool Congress in the Rajya Sabha. This is an issue which is going on from the 20th of July. The India Alliance parties have been trying to work out any way possible to get the Prime Minister to come. Please give me 1 minute to explain this. First, we've been asking every day for an emergency rule 267 discussion. Government is saying no to that. Prime Minister, come. Government has come up with a rule saying 176, which is a light discussion. My colleagues, actually, from the Congress, Jairam Ramesh, myself, Mr. Ram Gopal Yadav, Mr. Siva, 3-4 of us sat down in the CPM with the leader of the House and the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, and we said, listen, this was over tea. We want 267. You want 176. Here's an idea to discuss Manipur. People of India are not interested in your rules and the number of the rule. People of India want a discussion on Manipur. So we've given them a solution 4 days ago to come have a discussion.
No, you are insisting that the Prime Minister be part of that discussion. That's where the breakdown has taken place.
Absolutely. Mr. Sardesai, if the Prime Minister has the time to go for photo opportunities to release cheetah cubs, 9 of them which sadly die, In the last 10 days or last 1 month, the Prime Minister has been to 7 countries around the world in 30 days. If the Prime Minister of India can go and address the officers of the Indian Forest Service, by all means, if the Prime Minister can go to Maharashtra and get an award, congratulations to him. He can do all this. We're very humbly, very calmly asking the Prime Minister to come to Parliament. This is the same Prime Minister, mind you, who genuflected and did pranam on the footsteps of Parliament. But the Prime Minister has to come to Parliament. Which MP, doesn't matter which party you belong to, even if you're not part of the India Alliance, would not want his Prime Minister or her Prime Minister to come to Parliament. Now, if you want us to sit down there like students in the class whose teacher hasn't come for 19 days to class and every day we'll go into school, or better still, you know what? You know that para, you love cricket, even I like cricket. This is like that when we used to play para cricket in Calcutta, the locality cricket. If you were losing, you take the bat away, you take the ball away, and that's why none of us could play cricket. We want Parliament to function.
No, you want Parliament to function, but you also want the Prime Minister to speak on Manipur. That's not happening in the Rajya Sabha, as a result of which the Rajya Sabha will not debate Manipur. What have you gained out of this?
No, what do you want us to? Please, you give us a suggestion, Mr. Sardesai. You're a senior pro. We've even come off 267. We want the Prime Minister of India, if the Council of States wants the Prime Minister of India from the 20th of July now to the 8th of August and 11th of August to come to Parliament. Is it too much? Is it too much of a demand? Is it too much of a demand? Okay, we can try some. If something is making them uncomfortable, maybe the Prime Minister feels, no, I don't want to be facetious. This is a very serious issue. BJP have not even sent a delegation to Manipur. Let the Prime Minister not only come there, let the Prime Minister lead us. Lead opposition MPs, all MPs, India Alliance MPs, BJP MPs. Come on, have a discussion here, and on the weekend or on Monday, let's all go to Manipur.
Can I ask you a simple question at the end? Is there a complete breakdown in trust between you and the chairman of the Rajya Sabha, between you and Piyush Goyal, the leader of the government in the Rajya Sabha, between the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition? There's no dialogue. I mean, we are, all of you, on taxpayers' money, session after session, complete mistrust. Every session virtually ending in a long chat.
Mr. Sardesai, thank you for giving me time on your platform today to express the views which my colleagues also from the India Alliance are expressing. If you think we are asking for too much, asking for the Prime Minister to come and participate in a debate in both houses, if that is too much and you think we are being cussed, how can you think that? I will still use your platform to appeal again to the Prime Minister. That is not about ego. This is not about arrogance. Please come, sir. Come, not for our sake. You don't like India Alliance. You have lots of things to say about us. Keep saying that. But for the sake of the people of Manipur, for the sake of the people of India, please, sir, you please come to Parliament. Please come. We will listen to you. We are not jumping into the well. Mr. Amit Shah spoke in Rajya Sabha. Nobody jumped into the well. His body language to us was very different, very aggressive. But okay, we heard him out. Asking the Prime Minister of India, why does he suffer from parliamentophobia? Parliamentophobia must be a new word which expresses.
He says you all suffer from Modi phobia. He says you all suffer from Modi phobia. You say he suffers from parliamentary phobia.
I'll tell you.
Yes.
Mr. Sardesai,
30 seconds.
Mr. Sardesai, let me end by telling you, I've given you facts. No questions answered in Parliament. 4 hours spent in 2021. Not come for Manipur for the last 20 days. These are the facts.
Okay.
The young people of India especially are listening. India jeetega Bharat. That's what the change will take place.
Okay, we'll wait and see whether any change takes place in 2024. But for now, Derek O'Brien, you're not suspended apparently after being asked to leave the House. Either way, you're here on TV being heard. Appreciate your joining us. Derek O'Brien, there at the top of the news. From there, let's turn to what was the meat of what happened in Parliament. The debate on the no confidence motion in the Lok Sabha that was moved by the opposition began in the Lok Sabha. This is the second face-off between the NDA and opposition alliance India in Parliament after yesterday's vote in the Rajya Sabha on the Delhi Services Bill. It was a fiery debate with both sides training their guns on each other. The battle for 2024 has begun. Listen in.
प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के मौन रहने का कि वो अपनी भूल कबूल करना नहीं चाहते। अगर वो बोले तो कि उनकी चूक हुई है राज्य सरकार से, तो ये भूल वो कभी जनता के सामने कबूल नहीं करना चाहते, मौन रहना पसंद करते हैं। और ये पहली बार नहीं हुआ है, ये पहली बार नहीं हुआ है जब भारत के स्वर्ण पदक लाने वाले कुश्ती के महिला खिलाड़ी जब सड़क पे जब विरोध कर रहे थे तो प्रधानमंत्री मौन थे। जब अडानी पर इसी सदन में राहुल गांधी जी ने प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी से सवाल किया कि कितने बार अडानी जी एक विशेष कंपनी को प्रधानमंत्री के साथ जाने पर उनको सुविधा हुआ, तो प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी मौन थे।
वर्षों से आपका नेग्लिजेंस, वर्षों से जो आपने नॉर्थ ईस्ट को अपने पे मरने के लिए छोड़ दिया, हैंड होल्डिंग करने के लिए आप सोचा नहीं है, उसी का नतीजा है। 2014 के बाद मोदी जी इस देश का जब प्रधानमंत्री के कुर्सी पर बैठे, उसके बाद एक भी पूरे नॉर्थ ईस्ट में नया कोई मिलिटेंसी गुट खड़ा नहीं हुआ। उस समय का तत्कालीन प्रधानमंत्री डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी तो खुद राज्यसभा, तो लोकसभा से नहीं आए थे, असम के सीट से, असम के कोटा से राज्यसभा के सदस्य बने, 2 बार प्रधानमंत्री बने। कभी भी विकास के नाम पर नॉर्थ ईस्ट का दौरा नहीं किया। पहले ही बैठक में प्रधानमंत्री जी ने एक ग्रुप बनाया और कहा कि हर एक 15 दिन में 5 कैबिनेट मंत्री और 7 राज्य मंत्री हर एक 15 दिन में नॉर्थ ईस्ट का दौरा करना है, और अभी भी चल रहा है। अभी यहाँ जितना मंत्री बैठे हैं सब ने लगातार गए हैं, वो भी वहाँ प्रदेश का, वहाँ राजधानी सिर्फ सीमित नहीं, दूर दराज गांव तक दौरा होता है और लोगों के साथ वार्तालाप करते हैं। यही
सोनिया जी का मैं बड़ा सम्मान करता हूं सर। सोनिया जी, मुझे जो लगता है कि उनके पार्टी की उनकी 2 मनस्थिति है। वो एक हिंदू सभ्यता संस्कृति में बिलीव कर रही हैं, इसीलिए अलौकिका पंडिता की तरह जो पूरा किताब में लिखा हुआ है कि क्या क्या करना चाहिए एक भारतीय नारी को, उसका पूरा का पूरा पिक्चर सोनिया जी देती है। उनको 2 काम करना है, बेटे को सेट करना है और दामाद को भेंट करना है।
अरे जिसका नेम लेना वो बोले ना।
हम ये पूछना चाहते हैं कि 18 राउंड मिलिट्री टू मिलिट्री बातचीत हुई है चीन के साथ, और 18 राउंड में क्या निष्कर्ष निकला है? क्या ये बात सही है कि जितने बफर जोन बने हैं वो सारे बफर जोन भारत की सरजमीन में बने हैं? जितने बफर जोन बने हैं मिलिट्री टू मिलिट्री टॉक्स के बावजूद वो बनस्पत वो भारत की सरजमीन में बने हैं। हम ये पूछना चाहते हैं कि जो विदेश मंत्रालय के स्तर पे बातचीत चल रही है चीन के साथ, उसका क्या निष्कर्ष निकला? ये सारे गंभीर सवाल हैं जिनका जवाब आप सरकार को देना पड़ेगा। Okay, so the opposition's talking points, let's summarize them. Manipur ethnic clashes, the Prime Minister has been silent. Price rise, the government hasn't done enough in recent months to check it. The Chinese intrusion, complete non-transparency. Misuse of institutions, governments being toppled, and communal strife being increased. This is the opposition charge. What are the government's talking points on day 1 of the no confidence vote? Northeast, the government says, has not been neglected in Prime Minister Modi's time. Raul Gandhi symbolizes dynasty politics. The Congress is a corrupt party. Modi is a world leader. The Prime Minister is being victimized over his OBC status. and the so-called India coalition is a coalition of compulsion. These are the big talking points both sides have made. The big questions though: who won round one, day one of that no confidence vote? Is the Congress setting the stage for Rahul versus Modi? Rahul Gandhi not speaking today, likely now only to speak on Thursday as the countdown to 2024 begun. Joining me on our face-off, Gaurav Bhatia, the BJP spokesperson, JB Mathur, the Congress MP. Appreciate both of you joining us. Gaurav Bhatia, the Prime Minister under attack for silence on Manipur. He's likely to speak, of course, on Thursday. But how do you respond to that? That according to the opposition, speaker after speaker said Prime Minister doesn't want to speak on any uncomfortable issues, be it China, be it Manipur.
So Rajdeep, I'll come to each of the issues you just discussed. But I must say that you call a member of parliament, Mr. Derek O'Brien, who's not famous for his conduct inside the parliament. He makes allegations against the government and he is given a clean floor. I don't know why. You should either have a face-off or you should also invite a Bharatiya Janata Party leader.
I had invited him to
who
find
can
out
answer
why.
and also
No, I had
ask
invited him
Mr.
to explain
Derek
his
O'Brien.
behavior in Parliament.
Okay, it didn't sound like that.
Okay.
Because if I was the anchor, I would have asked him about the jungle raj that prevails in West Bengal. I would have asked him, why is it that 50 citizens of India lost their lives after the Panchayat election? I would have asked him, the Calcutta High Court reprimanded Mamta Banerjee and Mamta Banerjee has not spoken about it. I would have asked him that how is it that Congress workers are killed and there are allegations of corruption levelled by Rahul Gandhi against Mamta Banerjee and they are yet together. Having said that, now I'll come to today's topic. Today, this alliance, that is a thug alliance, people
against a Prime Minister in whom the entire country has immense confidence. And
has immense confidence, and the reason is very simple. Narendra Modi ji is a leader whose stature is recognized world. Today, let's start by what the media was reporting, even your channel was reporting. It was being said Rahul Gandhi will open the speech. The Congressy chamchas were saying tiger will be roaring. And it came out to be a damn quib. There wasn't any statement or speech by Rahul Gandhi and he was hit wicket even before he entered the pitch of Parliament. Second, we must remember this no confidence motion has been moved by the opposition party when they lack the numbers. So they will be given a tight slap on the tail.
They moved it because they say the Prime Minister, that's the only way to get the Prime Minister to speak in Parliament. The only way to get Prime Minister Modi to speak in Parliament was to have a no confidence motion. Otherwise he doesn't speak.
Rajdeep, last time I remember in 2018 also there was a no confidence motion that was brought in and Congress party and other opposition parties suffered a very humiliating defeat. If you want to talk about Manipur, let me make it very clear that Amit Shah ji on the floor of the House even yesterday said that I invite the opposition parties to have a discussion on Manipur alone. That would be a discussion in both houses, unlike the no confidence motion that would be a discussion only in the Lok Sabha. Second, Amit Shah ji very categorically said this also, that there would be no time limit. I ask myself, if they were concerned about Manipur, why is it that today the Congress leaders, the Samajwadi Party leader, they discussed China, they discussed inflation, they discussed ED CBI, they discussed petrol diesel prices, they discussed employment and unemployment numbers, farmers and institutions being destroyed. That itself shows the hypocrisy of the opposition, that if Manipur was such an important issue for them, then I think they should have stuck to Manipur to discuss every aspect of it threadbare.
Gaurav Gogoi focused on Manipur. I mean, a no confidence motion can be on a variety of issues.
Okay, so let me now answer. Now, Manipur incident, a ghastly incident where two of our sisters were paraded naked. I think it puts us to shame. But I want to ask that dignity of a woman, irrespective of the state where she comes from, is a very vital issue. I want to ask Gaurav Gogoi or Rahul Gandhi or Sonia Gandhi, how many times has Sonia Gandhi ever commented on a rape happening in Rajasthan or Chhattisgarh? 6,337 rapes according to the NCRB data of 2021. Rajdeep, would you not agree? Those women are also entitled to the same dignity when we discuss the women of Manipur. Second, the Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot says that 50% of the complaints lodged by women are fake. The minister says ये मर्दों का प्रदेश है तो इसलिए रेप ज्यादा होते हैं. छत्तीसगढ़ मिनिस्टर says छोटा रेप हो गया छत्तीसगढ़ में. Divya Maderna, who's an MLA of the Congress party in Rajasthan, says I am not safe. How would the woman be safe? And I would say one thing, if it's a law and order issue, how many times has the delegation of this Thakbandan visited West Bengal? I just cited an example, 50 lives lost. Has this Thakbandan cared to go there? How many times have you done a show asking Gandhi Parivar, either Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Vadra Gandhi or Sonia Gandhi, about the 6,337 rapes that have happened in Rajasthan? Six times the number
whether a
of
rape
Uttar
takes
Pradesh.
place in Rajasthan, Bengal, Chhattisgarh, Manipur, we speak out. We have done stories on all, but
how many debates?
No, 1 minute. 1
Give
minute.
me
Now,
one debate.
I've
Give me
given
one
you time.
debate.
Okay,
Rajdeep, just one debate.
We have done
Can
several.
you give me any date?
I will show you the debates. I will put it out.
That happened in Rajasthan pertains to dignity of a woman. How many debates and which date? Can you tell me? I'm asking you.
JB
You're a very
Mathur,
seasoned journalist.
JB
Please tell me.
Mathur, I have told you we have done a series of stories on it, but JB Mathur must respond. JB Mathur, the allegation. I am
9
not.
o'clock.
Sir, let the
one
Congress.
debate.
Okay,
Give me
we
the
will-
date by the end of this discussion.
Okay, JB Mathur, can you tell us from the Congress perspective that this no confidence motion, according to the BJP, is actually not going to work in terms of numbers, and the Congress party is flailing in the winds, according to him. One moment talking about China, one about Manipur, one about the price of tomatoes. What is your focus?
Rajdeep, from July 20th, we have been asking both in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha that we should have a discussion on Manipur. Now, I want to say that we can bring a horse to the water, but we cannot make it drink. Now, what has happened is we have brought the Parliament to a discussion on Manipur, and Congress Party and Team India Alliance has very categorically, I mean, how can anybody say that we have not spoken about Manipur? India has seen it. India has seen it what Gaurav Gogoi has spoken. Now, ideally, what is the situation? When Gaurav Gogoi has laid down the situation in Manipur, asked questions to Prime Minister, whatever the atrocities that are happening, what is promised, what has not been delivered, not steps being taken, what are the reactions happening there, everything is laid down by Gaurav Gogoi. And Nishikant Dubeji, ideally, what should have been done? He should have spoken about Manipur. I am not saying about everyone, but at least due to time constraint, we cannot say about everyone. But the first speaker of BJP or NDA, did he say anything about Manipur other than making jibes at Rahul Gandhi or Sonia Gandhi? Did he say what are the steps taken by government in Manipur to, did he say what the Chief Minister has done there? Did he say anything, any mention about Manipur? I want to say that normally we say never judge a book by its cover. Now we should rephrase it as never judge BJP MP speech by the heading it says, because heading is Manipur and they talk about everything else other than Manipur. Now this is not the way it should have happened.
No, is the debate, JB Mathur, is the Congress saying, no ma'am, but is the Congress saying this no confidence motion is about Manipur, or is it about a variety of issues where you believe the Modi government has to give answers? Is it simply to get Prime Minister Modi to answer on Manipur? Is that your sole aim?
No, it is not simply, you cannot take it, you cannot make it look like a light thing that to make Prime Minister speak on Manipur. It is the most crucial thing as far as India Alliance is concerned, as far as Congress Party is concerned. We have been asking both in Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha that Prime Minister should come and speak, and he doesn't speak. That's why I said we have managed to get the horse to the water. Now, whether the Prime Minister, when he comes on 10th, whether he will speak on Manipur, from whatever we have seen of NDA MPs, they are not speaking on Manipur. They are speaking about different things. Now, Gaurav Gogoi's speech, is he not Indian National Congress? Is he not India Alliance? Did he not mention, did he not clarify, did he not explain the situation in Manipur? Did he not ask the Prime Minister why a few questions to Prime Minister? Did anybody touch upon those issues? And also not just NDA MPs, BJP spokesperson, whether it is BJP MPs or NDA spokesperson in a channel debate, they want to talk about everything else other than Manipur. That's what we witness now also.
Gaurav,
the BJP spokesperson don't want to talk about the debate or no confidence motion that took place in the Lok Sabha today. He is still wanting to talk about Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh, not on Manipur.
No, but JB Mathur, there's another question which Gaurav Gogoi said. He said Rahul Gandhi was supposed to roar like a tiger on day one. He seems to have pushed his speech to last day. Is that strategic? Does he want to make it Rahul Gandhi versus Mr. Modi?
See, the BJP ministers, whether it's Prahlad Joshi or MP Nishikant Dubeji, they all saying this, why Rahul Gandhi didn't come. What are they asking? From July 20th, we are demanding Prime Minister should come. He has not stepped into the parliament. Rahul Gandhi was disqualified and after reinstating, he reached parliament within 1 hour. He was in parliament, sitting in the parliament, being part of the parliament proceedings. And this no confidence motion, while it's happening also, Rahul Gandhi is part of the discussion, part of the discussion, witnessing everything. And you are talking about, oh, why Rahul Gandhi is not speaking, when Prime Minister has not even had the courtesy to step into the parliament, whether it's Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha.
JB, you made the point. You made the point.
Day one of the session, where is he? Where is he? Why is he not coming
missing?
to parliament?
Prime Minister is missing, according to the Congress Gaurav Bhatia. Even today, he was not there when the no confidence motion opened. He has barely attended parliament. He has hardly spoken in this session. Entire Lok Sabha is hardly spoken. The Congress says, Prime Minister missing in action. Your quick final response.
Rajdeep, first of all, let me remind the Congress Party about the 1993 situation in Manipur. And Congress was in power. Do you know, for 6 months, they could not even control the situation. Hundreds of lives were lost. And do you know who responded on the floor of the House? Not even the Home Minister. It was the Minister of State Home, Rajesh Pilot, at that time who responded. When Amit Shah ji wanted to respond and speak, and without any time limit, they said, "Inki haisiyat kya hai?" Is this the kind of decency we will see from the Congress Party? Second, I just want to say that strategic. What is so strategic about Rahul Gandhi not speaking? I think he got up late. He didn't prepare his speech well. He didn't understand the issue. He must have gone to Sonia Gandhi. Sonia Gandhi would have told him that please wait for a day or two, prepare yourself, because stakes are very high. As it is, you lost from Amethi. Was losing from Amethi and moving to Wayanad strategic? Was apologizing to the Supreme Court after casting aspersions on the judiciary and attributing a statement to them, Chaukidar chor hai, Supreme Court ne kaha hai, strategic? What is the strategic business? Can't we see that this INDIA is nothing but a Bhatak Bandhan? There are so many contradictions. Just yesterday, Sandeep Dixit and their earlier state president, Mr. Agarwal, Jayaprakash Agarwal, I think, he had said that supporting the Delhi Services Bill is not right for the party. So this is nothing but this is a comedy of errors, and these people are going to lose.
Okay.
And no confidence motion. If you discuss everything, wait for the response of the Prime Minister. It would be a hard-hitting, fact-oriented and reflecting the mood of the nation when he responds.
Okay, I will wait for the Prime Minister. Just to say, since you wanted to know, when have you discussed Rajasthan? July 27th. We had a full debate on
Debate.
Yes, full debate, DEBAT, July 27th.
Yes, yes. Tell me the date, I'll check. Sometimes it's difficult to trust you, that's why. I'll do a fact check on
Okay,
you.
you're welcome to do a
Yes, tell
fact
me
check,
the date.
July 27th. Meanwhile, JB Mathur, very quickly, Rahul Gandhi will speak on the last day now. He will speak, right?
Rahul Gandhi has been continuously voicing for all the concerns. Now, why is everybody behind why Rahul Gandhi is not speaking? I don't understand. Like, Rahul Gandhi was disqualified. Rahul Gandhi is there in the parliament witnessing everything, and Prime Minister is missing. The lives are lost in Manipur. People are displaced. Women are getting raped. Manipur is burning, and Prime Minister is not even in the house for a single day or single hour.
6,337
Rahul
rates in
Gandhi has
Rajasthan.
been voicing both outside,
Time out.
inside, and you will see it.
Okay, we'll wait and see. Rahul Gandhi and Narendra Modi, both slated most probably to speak on Thursday. Watch out for that. For now, Gaurav Bhatia, JB Mathur, for joining me on round one of vote of confidence. Thank you very much. Let's turn from there to our other big focus. The Haryana bulldozer action in New has now reached the Supreme Court. Senior counsel today, Kapil Sibal, moved to the top court not just against the bulldozer action but also against the Gurugram Mahapanchayat, which called for an economic boycott of Muslims. The Mahapanchayat, which was called to oppose the police crackdown on village youths, urged people to stop renting out houses and shops to Muslims. Kapil Sibal raised the issue before Justice Chandrachud and said that this was clearly unconstitutional. Let's take a look at what's been happening on the ground in New when it comes to bulldozers that seem to be taking on one community. Take a look.
The bulldozers came to grinding halt in Haryana's New district. The Punjab and Haryana court on Monday came down heavily on the Manohar Lal Khattar government over the demolition drive. The court, taking suo motu notice in a scathing order, said that the law and order problem in New is being used as a ruse to carry out the demolition drive. The court said the issue is whether buildings belonging to a particular community are being brought down and whether ethnic cleansing is being conducted by the state. Scores of buildings were demolished before the High Court stepped in. Liaquat Ali's tile shop on the New Alwar Road is one of them. Ali claims he had given shelter to a few Bajrang Dal workers who were trapped by the rioters but still was targeted.
फिर वो जब झगड़ा होके नहीं आए इधर वो बजरंग दल वाले 4-5 बंदे जब वो घेर लिए वो झगड़ा करने वालों ने तो वो इधर आए भाग के नहीं तो शटर खोली शटर के अंदर वो ले लिया फिर शटर लगा के नहीं अंदर से ताला लगा दिया हम। अच्छा। वो हमारे पास 5-6 घंटा रहे हैं। ठीक है। उनके ना जैसे हमारे पे हुई चाय पानी भी उनके करी हमने और उनको जब थोड़ा शांति होगी तो उनको गाड़ी में बिठा के नहीं फिर थाने में उनको छोड़ के नहीं आए।
Ali rejects allegations of any role in the violence.
नहीं पत्थरबाजी कोई सबूत दिखाओ कोई पत्थरबाजी का कोई कुछ नहीं दिखा। हाँ कोई कुछ नहीं दिखाए मांगा हमने कि सबूत दिखाओ कोई। हाँ वो जो आरएसएस वाले उनकी जब गाड़ी जल रही थी वही कि भाई हम गाड़ी देख सकें भाई देख लो वही चढ़े थे ऊपर भी बताया उन्हें पीछे बेचारे जब गिरा दिए तो उन्होंने कही कि भाई हमारी तो इन्हें जान बचाई तुम इन्हीं के मकान क्यों गिरा रहे हो इन्हें तो हमारी जान बचाई उन्हें फ़ोन किया है उन्हें।
People at the receiving end allege the bulldozer action is targeted at one community.
ये असल में ये जो दुकान है ये सब मुसलमानों की है लेकिन हाँ हिंदू इनमें रहते हैं किराए पे लेकर और दुकान ये मुसलमानों की है। अब जाहिर सी बात है भाई ये पूरी मुसलमानों की मार्केट है दुकान है वो किराए पे रहते थे लेकिन एक कार्रवाई तो भाई यही है कि भाई मुसलमानों को ही गिराया जा रहा है।
Residents in the area claim no notices were issued to the owners before bulldozers were unleashed.
जो गरीब आदमी भी है उनके पेट पे लात मारी जा रही है। जैसे हर किसी बंदे का एक जरिया होता है कमाने का तो किसी के भाई रोड पे दुकान है तो कैसे कैसे गुजारा कर रहा है वहाँ रह के तो उनकी जो फोट टूट हो रही है वो गलत हो रही है बिल्कुल। यहाँ वो
जो भी जैसे बुलडोजर चला रहे हैं सर जो अवैध कब्जा है सर उसको हटाएं उसके लिए भी नोटिस देना चाहिए पहले वो अपने कम से कम मकान में से सामान को निकाल लें और जो अचानक आज ही नोटिस दिया आज ही मकान फूटे तो नुकसान तो होएगा ना।
तो सबको नोटिस दें, हिंदू भाई को भी मुसलमान को भी कम से कम, और जो अवैध कब्जा बस हटा। ये तो गलत है, अचानक से जा करके बुलडोजर चला दिया, ये तो बेतुक।
From Uttar Pradesh to Madhya Pradesh to Haryana, bulldozers have become a favored mode of crackdown in BJP-ruled states. But how legal are these tools of providing so-called instant justice? The courts are yet to give a clear view on this. With Sushant Mehra and Himanshu Mishra, Bureau Report, India Today.
So are the bulldozers being targeted as one community, as was alleged in the courts? Is this instant justice or is this an illegal crackdown? Colin Gonsalves, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court, is with us. Siddharth Yadav is BJP spokesperson from Haryana, is with us. Appreciate both of you joining us. Colin Gonsalves, is this instant justice if these are the areas from where stones were thrown, according to the police in Haryana? Why should the government of Haryana or the local authorities not act against the residents there who are involved in illegal activities, is the charge being made?
I think, Rajdeep, the way you put the question itself has the answer. Let us suppose people standing on a building throw stones. Does it mean that a government-sponsored bulldozer action is permissible to destroy building after building after building? In law, there's a principle called proportionateness. You throw stones and therefore you break buildings of people one after the other. And I tell you, Rajdeep, this is only happening because our judiciary has failed us in these kind of cases. And our judiciary has become very insensitive when it comes to housing for poor people.
No, the Punjab and Haryana High Court moved yesterday and put a stay on all these demolitions.
No, you're right. It's so surprising and so fresh. I was so stunned when the Punjab and Haryana High Court said, this is ethnic cleansing. It's sharp language, strong language. This is how the judiciary should be. But this is only happening in Haryana because when it happened in UP, our judges remained totally unconcerned with the plight of people and their housing situation and so on. So the Punjab and Haryana has done something extraordinary, and I applaud those judges, not only for stopping the demolition boldly, they did it suo moto without anybody approaching them, and they used the word ethnic cleansing. This bulldozing is directed against a community, a minority community, and it's only because the minority community exists and the politics of the ruling party is against the minority community that the bulldozers are set out. I applaud the Punjab and Haryana High Court for their incredible stand, even in the face of the Supreme Court generally showing very little interest in matters relating to demolitions in UP. UP got away with it completely.
Can I just stop you for a moment? Siddharth Yadav, respond. These are words that were used by the Punjab and Haryana High Court saying you cannot just go in and bulldoze houses without adequate notice. It's not enough to say that this is where the riots took place, we are bulldozing houses. That's not the law of the country. Is there a recognition that what happened in Haryana, the demolition, was illegal, or is it simply to widen the divide, to show to the Hindu voters, देखो मैंने मुसलमानों के घर demolish कर दिए, उन्होंने वहाँ आतंक फैला दिया? Is that the reason? Is this to stir some kind of a Hindu-Muslim divide on the ground? Where is the rule of law?
Absolutely not, Rajdeep. And whatever is happening according to the rule of law. The governments are responsible that no illegal occupation happens. There's no encroachment of government land by any, be it by mafias or by any individual of the country. And the government is taking action on the same. The High Court has observed on something on the procedural issues, and we have respected the High Court's observations, and we have stayed the demolitions for now. But we are very committed that we will take back every piece of land which is illegally encroached.
No, but did it require a riot to wake up to this? Let's assume that there were illegal encroachments that need to be removed. Did it require a riot for that to happen? Even if there's an illegal encroachment, there needs to be some kind of a process that is followed. You can't go overnight and just remove houses. The point is, there must be a process. India, as of now, follows a due process of law, and governments must also follow it, Siddharth.
Yes, absolutely. India always follows the process of law.
No, it doesn't.
And it is for the courts. It is for the courts to decide, Rajdeep, not for you and me, not on a television.
No, the
debate
courts
tonight.
decided yesterday. The courts suo moto decided that the law was not being followed.
It did not. Rajdeep, it did not. It did not. Court has observed. The next hearing is on 11th. Court has observed for now. The matter is going to go on. We have seen earlier cases also. The UP Bulldozer case also came up in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court observed that we cannot put an omnibus ban on demolitions. The Supreme Court said this. Our High Court has an opinion. The case will go on. In this also, there's a due process of law. So we can't just be jumping the gun. But when it comes down to the question that you asked me, that is it only against, is it, you meant to ask that, is it a vendetta by the government? It's absolutely not.
Okay.
You must understand, I'll reverse your question. If the government gets to know there are illegal occupations there, should the government keep quiet? Should the government not move ahead? Removing encroachment on government land?
Yeah, but the point is that it didn't require a terrible riot in Nu for that to happen. And the other question, Siddharth, therefore, is that now we've got a Gurugram. The reason I asked is now we've got a Mahapanchayat in Gurugram, which is calling for an economic and social boycott of Muslims. Today, Kapil Sibal has raised this before the Chief Justice. He's going to look at it. But what is effectively, it seems Haryana is going to the polls next year. The BJP wants to feed on a Hindu-Muslim divide. Should politicians accept a Mahapanchayat calling for a social boycott, economic boycott of Muslims? Do you approve of it?
Rajdeep, these are two very different issues. Government's action is very different. Mahapanchayat discussing something is very different. We must not mix them. What the government is doing is absolutely as per the law. If there is any encroachment on government land, on public roads or any place, it is the duty, the government is duty bound to remove any such occupation. And we have been doing so in all the states. More thousands of crores of our property is illegally occupied, illegally encroached by mafias. Should the government not be taking action on that? The same is happening in Haryana.
But this has been happening in Nu. The illegal encroachments in Nu have existed for years. That time the administration didn't do anything. It wakes up only when there is a riot. Same thing happened in Uttar Pradesh.
No, you are free to say this, but this is not the case. Regular demolition drives happen everywhere. Especially after a riot, if the government is inquiring into something, because this is not just a chain, it did not begin from a riot. The link that you're trying to draw, that after riot such thing has happened, I think the link should be drawn that after the investigation by Haryana police over cyber crimes in Mewat happened, more than 5,000 policemen went there, nabbed a lot of people involved in cyber crimes. After that, the riots have happened. We have seen a lot of people accused in those cases also rioting there. And the demolitions are following. So if the government gets to know that there are certain entities, certain places where such criminal activities are going on, if the government is taking action upon those, it's absolutely by the law. And the government is duty bound to do it.
Can I give Colin Gonsalves a final word? Colin Gonsalves, there'll be a perception out there. Viewers also watching, look, they saw the riots. They will believe that these are people, according to authorities, there are Rohingyas who are illegal immigrants who are living in Nu. Their houses have to go. What's wrong if the government believes illegal encroachments have to go?
Because Rajdeep, this whole thing of Rohingyas, let's take that for first of all. We must know that the Rohingyas are protected under Article 21, the right to life, which protects not only Indians, it protects everyone within the territory. And these are asylum seekers. These are refugees. They have the UNHCR, United Nations High Commission for
Refugees. If they are involved in illegal activities?
Now, very good question. This was raised by the earlier Law Minister Rajju repeatedly on television. And in that television debate, I reminded him that there is not a single case in the country reported of Rohingyas engaging in serious crimes. A small fight here and a small fight there. And I can remind you when Rajju said about Jammu and Kashmir, that there are anti-national Rohingyas who are engaging in anti-national activities. The Director General Police of Jammu and Kashmir made a statement on television that we have checked all the areas where the Rohingyas stay, and there is not a single Rohingya terrorist in the country. And then Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee made a statement that we can confirm that the DGP statement is correct. There is not a single Rohingya terrorist in the country.
So what
So
you're saying...
it's all empty talk.
Okay, you're saying this is empty talk, this is designed to discriminate and target a particular community. I wish, Siddharth, we had longer time on it. We'll keep this debate going. We are going to look at what the Supreme Court does. This is a critical issue. Can you use a bulldozer as justice, as instant justice, or must you follow the rule of law? To my mind, it seems very simple and follow the rule of law. Think about it. If you're in a middle-class colony and a home was to be destroyed, you'd be up and about. When it happens in New, you don't seem to be as concerned. That's my big beef at the moment. But I appreciate both my guests joining me on the news today. Let's take a break. When we return, we are going to tell you the other side of the story. We had reported about Kalu Mia, who had lost his shop in the attack on Gurugram that followed New. Well, guess what? People have come together and given him a home and shop. The news today. News without the noise. Back in a moment.
Meet the men Monu Manesar and Bittu Bajrangi who inflamed Mewa, who triggered the fiery chain reaction.
आपके वीडियोस ने जो है वो उकसाने का काम करा है इस यात्रा में।
कोई उकसाने का कार्य नहीं किया, ना मैं उस यात्रा में गया।
The key faces of the new nightmare, live streamed provocations and poison.
आधे घंटे की प्लानिंग नहीं है, ये कह रहे हैं कि बिट्टू ने बोल दिया, मैंने बोल दिया, वो इसको लोग तैयार बैठे थे वो बंदूक लेके।
Cops hunt them, but we find them. Listen as they paint the full scary picture. Only on India Today Television.
During the riots that have taken place, not just in New, but across this country over the years, Hindus and Muslims have both suffered over the years. India Today had reported on the plight of Kalu Mia, whose shop in Gurugram was set on fire during the violence that followed New. Kalu had nothing to do with what had happened. New, he was totally innocent. Today we have some good news. After we showcased that story, a few activists in Gurugram came together and have helped Kalu Mia set up his shop again. It's our good news today story. This is a story which is across all religions. It shows that the future of this great country lies in tolerance, in reaching out to each other, in building bridges, not constructing walls. Whether it's Hindu or Muslim, anyone who suffers, anyone who's a victim deserves our support. Think about it. I leave you with that story. Jai Hind, Namaskar, good night, Shubhratri.
Kallu Mia's mattress shop was targeted in the retaliatory attacks in Gurugram after riots broke out in New. The video of Kallu Mia trying to douse the fire had gone viral then.
सारा सामान मेरे कपड़े लत्ते सारे कुछ सब कुछ जल गया मेरा।
कितना रुपए का सामान होगा?
अरे बहुत रुपए का सामान था। मैं तो रात दिन यहीं रहता था, मेरे तो घर भी कुछ ना, मेरा तो इसमें ही जो कुछ था। अरे इसमें तो 3 लाख का नुकसान है, क्या करूं बताओ।
चलो कल्लू जी, नारियल फोड़ो।
Now help has reached Kallu Mia. A few social activists led by Yogita Bhayana have raised funds to help the senior citizen get back on his feet. Kallu and his son have set up a new shop just 20 meters away from the old one in Gurugram's Sector 67.
कल्लू जी का सामान फिर से कल्लू जी की जिंदगी वापस।
जब आग लगी थी दुकान में तो मतलब कहाँ से खाने को आएगा और कहाँ से मतलब कमाई होएगी, तो इसलिए दिक्कत हो रही थी बहुत ज़्यादा। तो इसलिए योगिता मैम आई कल, उन्होंने हमारी दुकान को ओपनिंग कराई और कुछ मदद भी करी थी। और जब से मैं यहाँ पे बैठा हूँ माशाल्लाह जब से सब कुछ बढ़िया है।
Kallu Mia's family are from Amroha in Uttar Pradesh. Gurugram is where they earn their livelihood and they plan to stay here.
This family was in tension. Kallu Mia was left with no job, no work that to make his income, to run his family, to provide food to his family. But people from civil society like Yogita Behana came up here. She helped the family, and now you can see again the family has got a reason to smile. With cameraman Mridul Mohan and Molnath Bali from Gurugram.
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 38 and minimum 28 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 31 and minimum 27 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 31 and minimum 25 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 26 and minimum 22 degrees. Chennai, maximum 34 and minimum 28 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 30 and minimum 22 degrees.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Good evening viewers, let's take a look at the weather report across the major cities this evening. Thiruvananthapuram is at 30 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 38. Mumbai is at 30 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 66. Panji is at 29 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 68. Ahmedabad is at 32 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 69. Bhopal is at 28 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 24. Jaipur is at 32 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 75. Delhi is at 34 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 84. Srinagar is at 29 degrees Celsius with AQI being 69. Lucknow is at 34 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 101. Patna is at 29 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 57. Kolkata is at 30 degrees with an AQI of 60. Hyderabad is at 30 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 57. Bangalore is at 29 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 33. Chennai is at 36 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 44. This is all we have for you in this segment. Hope wherever you are, you find favorable weather around you. Keep watching India Today for all the weather updates with me AI Sana all through the day.
Co-powered by the new Kia Seltos, the badass reborn. Co-powered by PolicyBazaar.com. Har family hogi insured. Extra safe Polycab Green Wire.
The biggest Indian media scandal in 2023. बीजेपी alleges कांग्रेस का हाथ न्यूज क्लिक के साथ।
कांग्रेस का हाथ न्यूज क्लिक के साथ, न्यूज क्लिक के ऊपर चाइना का हाथ। तो किसका हाथ कहां-कहां मिला है सबको समझ आता है।
The Congress hits back, calls the BJP's charges absurd.
In any of our political parties can be considered to be anti-Indian. We have a different view of how India should progress.
Exclusive email of NewsClick funding accessed by India Today. Journalism or Ji Hazuri of Xi Jinping. Chinese paisa to Indian news site. Has China infiltrated Indian politics and media? That's our top focus on India First.
India Today has accessed emails that show China tried to control the narrative, not just on border clashes with India, but even on farmer protests through Chinese propaganda disguised as independent content. Media entities and individuals are now under investigation for allegedly receiving money from China through shell companies and entities to carry out an anti-India propaganda drive and peddle Chinese narrative, not just on COVID-19 handling, but also on border clashes and farm protests. There is now a raging battle, with some accusing those taking Chinese money to target India, from Rafale to border clashes to COVID, as treason. Will the Narendra Modi government probe and punish those guilty? Or is this, as some argue, absurd and a witch hunt? I'm Gaurav Sawant. We get you all sides of the debate and the story. But first, as always, the headlines on India First. Day one of the fiery no-confidence debate in Parliament. Congress targets the Narendra Modi government on Manipur violence. BJP hits back, taunts Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi on corruption and dynasty politics. Aam Aadmi Party Member of Parliament Raghav Chadha faces a privilege motion over alleged forged signatures for a proposed Select Committee on Delhi Services Bill. 6 members of Parliament say their names were added without their consent. Rahul Gandhi's Ghar Wapsi, day after being reinstated as Lok Sabha MP, gets his 12 Tughlaq Lane bungalow back. Rahul Gandhi says entire India is his home. Manipur police lodge an FIR against Assam Rifles personnel for reportedly obstructing police during violence breakout in a district on the 5th of August. Claims Assam Rifles allowed Kuki militants to escape. Amidst rising crimes against women in Rajasthan, Ashok Gehlot government cracks down on rape accused, issues a ban on government job for all molestation and rape history sheeters. We begin India First with a big India Today expose. After the New York Times investigation bombshell, India Today has accessed emails that reveal how a news portal in India, NewsClick, was allegedly involved in promoting pro-China agenda, along with the Congress connection. In a stunning revelation, Prakash Karat, senior left leader Prakash Karat's name has also emerged in these emails accessed by India Today. And sources say this email exchange, it occurred during very significant period of situations in our country. India Today's Munish Pandey brings you our top story.
India Today unravels Congress-China link. A day after the government lashed out at the Congress and news website NewsClick, email exchanges have now emerged showing how Chinese propagandists were in direct touch with media in India. This is billionaire Neville Roy Singham, who's been accused of Chinese propaganda, emailing NewsClick director Prabir Purkhayas and CPM leaders like Prakash Karat with a Praise China toolkit. Sources tell India Today these email exchanges occurred during significant periods, including the early days of the COVID outbreak, during farmer protests in India, and the persisting border tensions between India and China. The way these emails were structured, it clearly reveals a clear inclination towards promoting Chinese propaganda.
The email conversations recorded by the Enforcement Directorate during the searches not only talk about how to keep China in a good light as far as its pandemic handling is concerned, but it also talks about some of the sensitive issues like India-China border. But the most important part is the email conversation with CPIM leader Prakash Karat, and the Bharatiya Janata Party has not only targeted opposition over this, but they have also raised this matter before the parliament.
Not just that, in stunning revelation, emails also talk about collaborations of the Indian communists with the Chinese. Sources say Prakash Karat expressed his satisfaction with the Chinese peace, despite knowing anti-China sentiments.
यदि न्यूज क्लिक का नाम यदि डिलीट या रेस्टोर हो गया, कांग्रेस को क्या समस्या है सर? न्यूज क्लिक आपका कौन लगता है? पुरकास्ट का नाम यदि रेस्टोर हो गया, पुरकास्ट आपका क्या लगता है? प्रकाश कारात साहब, उनका पूरा का पूरा मेल मैं ऑन रिकॉर्ड आपको लाना चाहता हूं कि जो वो नेवेली राय सिंघम था उसके साथ उनके हजारों मेल हैं, और जब आप कहेंगे मैं ऑन रिकॉर्ड उसको पेश कर दूंगा सर.
The government has now sharpened its attack on the Congress.
कांग्रेस का हाथ न्यूज़ क्लिक के साथ, कम्युनिस्ट बाकी दल ये भी उनका सहयोग करते रहे, लेकिन कांग्रेस का हाथ न्यूज़ क्लिक के साथ, न्यूज़ क्लिक के ऊपर चाइना का हाथ. तो किसका हाथ कहाँ कहाँ मिला है सबको समझ आता है.
कल जो है सर न्यूज क्लिक के ऊपर बड़ा हंगामा हुआ.
The Congress meanwhile has strongly objected to the comment made by the BJP leaders, calling them defamatory and demanding that the allegations made by Nishikant Dubey in Parliament must be expunged.
The mic of a particular BJP member, Mr. Dubey, was switched on and he proceeded to speak. And his sound was the only one coming through the translation headsets and through the record of the House, in which he levelled defamatory and libelous accusations against our party and by name two of its leaders. He cannot do so without giving notice in advance and getting the consent of the Speaker, which he had not done.
With more and more evidence emerging of the China NewsClick nexus to peddle Xi propaganda, the political fight is also heating up. With Munish Pandey in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
And India Today's Munish Pandey, he's accessed these emails from Neville Singham to several individuals in India, and their names are a matter of investigation. So they are actually being coached and guided on what to say, what to write. How does this nexus work, this email clincher of NewsClick? India Today has accessed information on funding. China is alleged to have used this news portal in India to meddle in India's internal affairs. Email trail, Enforcement Directorate has accessed these email trails that actually expose this conspiracy. Chinese mail to left leaders in India, and Prakash Karat's name has emerged in public domain. The timing of these emails praise China and China's handling of COVID. Remember what was happening in India, how a certain section was targeting India on COVID, or the border standoff with China. Also, the Rafale fighter deal, and we'll talk about that in greater detail. There are emails to political leaders, there are emails to journalists. Was this a dictation from Beijing to peddle Chinese agenda, from COVID to farm protest to border standoff with China? Chinese propaganda disguised as independent content, as claimed by the New York Times. Joining me on India First is Aparajita Sarangi, BJP MP. Dr. Shama Mohammed represents the Congress party on the broadcast. And I also have with me Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow at the Observer Research Foundation, someone who's tracking this very closely. But I want to begin by asking you, Dr. Shama Mohammed, are these emails proof of China dictating a certain narrative? Union Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur says NewsClick, Congress and China are linked through an anti-India umbilical cord, ma'am.
See, Anurag Thakur is basically a joke. He's the man who said, no, goli maro salo ko. So I'm not going to listen to him. Now, first and foremost, who broke the story? The New York Times. Now, the New York Times is New York Times, The Guardian, Washington Post, Economic Times, according to the Bharatiya Janata Party, are anti-nationals, because when the New York Times spoke about during the COVID time against Mr. Narendra Modi and what he did not do, when the New York Times says there is no democracy in India, when the New York Times says that the Muslims are hunted down in India, at that point of time, the BJP says, we do not listen to New York Times, they are anti-national. Now, I want to know, why did Anurag Thakur take a story from New York Times and is believing that such a story? You can't have double standards, number one. Number two, I want to ask Mr. Anurag Thakur, you said something just now, Gaurav Samant, you said, peddle Chinese narrative. That was what you just now said. Who peddled Chinese narrative? Mr. Narendra Modi. Na koi gussa hai, na koi gussega. When after 20 of our soldiers were martyred, Narendra Modi said nobody entered into Indian territory and no military post was taken. Exactly what the Chinese said. Wait, I'm not finished. Let me finish my point. And at that point, we also know that they banned a couple of apps, and those were TikTok, there was something called Me Community and various others. After that, COVID happened. And what did Mr. Narendra Modi do? He started something called the PM Cares and says it's a private fund, but where he solicited money.
You haven't answered my question. I asked you a question. You haven't answered. No, ma'am, I will not let you digress from the debate that I have asked you. But the questions you've raised, I will get Aparajita Sarangi of the BJP to respond. Hold on, ma'am, it cannot be a long monologue. You've made a point. Let me get Aparajita Sarangi to respond.
Just give me half a second.
Ma'am, hold on. I'm coming back to you. No point wasting time on this. Aparajita Sarangi, Congress has called all these claims absurd. If investigations have actually been carried out since 2021, what action has been taken post these investigations? And the Congress asks, you believe the New York Times today, you didn't believe them during COVID times when they raised all the issues that Dr. Shama Mohammed talks about. Aparajita Sarangi.
See, whatever has been spoken in the Lok Sabha and thereafter by the Minister of Information and Technology, Mr. Anurag Thakur, are nothing but the truth. And I think the Congress should have the courage to accept what has come out in the New York Times. See, there is a report from Heidelberg and they actually create a ruckus in the Lok Sabha talking about Adani and within quotes its misdeeds. So they cannot have double standards. Just before the start of a parliament session, they bring that report from a particular foreign organization and they talk about Adani and the organization's misdeeds, I reiterate, within quote. But at the same time, when New York Times on 5th of August 2023 brings out a report saying that one Neville Roy Singham got funding to the tune of 38 crore from China, and in turn he made this entire funding to NewsClick, and then in fact everything was traced to the love of Congress for China and the love of the Communist Party for China, I think this is something which smacks of arrogance, and this also speaks of double standards. So I think this is a very serious matter, and I must say security of our country is of utmost concern, and this China Congress and NewsClick are indeed part of a sinister design to destabilize the country.
Let me
and
bring
to
in Sushant
kind
Sareen.
of, weaken Prime Minister Modi's government through rumors. Yeah.
Let me bring in Sushant Sareen for more on this. Sushant Sareen, the emails, the New York Times report, the money trail, does it indicate a very dangerous cocktail, even on issues of national security, peddling the Chinese agenda, for example, on border clashes or on Rafale? Sushant Sareen.
So, Gaurav, a couple of things. The first, and I'm sure Dr. Shama Mohammed will take it in the right spirit, because this is her question which I'm throwing back at her. There are people like me who still don't take the New York Times seriously, and I'll explain it to her why. But if she takes the New York Times very seriously on all the other reportage of the New York Times on India, then why does she not take this particular report of the New York Times seriously enough? Number one. Number two, the fact of the matter remains that, the New York Times actually quotes from the ED investigation.
Report. Absolutely.
So, in fact, I also got it wrong. Then I read both of those things clearly and very, it was very clear. It came that it was the ED investigation which actually brings out this entire nexus. The ED should have taken it to the next level. Perhaps if we were everything that the New York Times accuses India of being and of this government of being, then the NewsClick, the guys would have been in jail for espionage, for spying, for working as foreign agents, like some other people have already gone to prison. And I think that in itself tells you a lot about the kind of propaganda which the New York Times carries out, because it does not serve its ideological predilections, this particular government. But having said that, Gaurav, I think this is, number one, a very old problem. In the old days, in the 70s, for example, the Americans used to bring out a magazine called Imprint, which was really very slickly produced. And it was, again, very subtle propaganda.
But
so
this is not subtle propaganda.
Going on for years on end.
Yes, this is not subtle at all. These are instructions. These emails show instructions to Indian media entities. It is not subtle. It's almost like an order to them.
Exactly. So what I'm trying to tell you is that, look, number one, these kind of influence operations, the Russians used to do it, the KGB used to do it. And of course, the communists in India, being useful idiots, were always ready and to offer themselves and for nothing more than crumbs very often. In this case, of course, fat lots of money have been given to these guys. I don't know what the communists, because Mr. Karat and company pretend that they are, they don't really need any money, but clearly the amount of monies which have been given to this particular organization, and apparently one of the guys who named is one of their nephews. So I don't know what the quid pro quo out there is, but
what is the quid pro quo? Target India. Dr. Shama Mohammed, look at this email. Do not circulate any of these materials outside this group. So-and-so must have content and control over this. It's an instruction that's coming to Indians from people who are getting money from China. Dr. Shama Mohammed, the foreign media investigation also says hundreds of millions of dollars. Hundreds of millions of dollars were pumped to entities linked to this, to Neville Singham, to peddle Chinese government talking points. The emails show those talking points were sent to Indian media and to Indian politicians. There are some analysts who say this amounts to treason, madam, treason.
Yeah, treason, I'll tell you what is treason. Now, let me explain to you what is treason. Before that, to Mr. Sareen, like he mentioned, why is Shama not believing whatever is written?
My point is, ma'am, please respond to my questions. Your first answer wasn't a response to my question. My request to you is please respond to my question.
I'm answering you. So I'm telling him that even the BJP has to, they can't have double standards. I don't have double standards. Now, he's saying you're talking, Gaurav, of an investigation. Now, let me tell you what happened in PM Cares. Why did the Prime Minister...
Ma'am, my question is not on PM Cares today. I am sorry. My question is very direct. Madam, we will have another debate if you want on PM Cares on another day. No, madam. My debate is on these emails today. My request is, Dr. Shama Mohammed, Please respond to the questions I'm asking you, ma'am.
I will respond. So I'm answering that question of Gaurav. If you're too excited and you want to support the Prime Minister,
I do not want to support. I want to support my country, and I expect every Indian to do so.
I'm answering your question. You cannot come and bulldoze me like this, yeah? This is not done, Gaurav. Behave as an
I'm
anchor.
sorry, Aparajita Sarangi, who are these individuals and entities who are in violation? Madam, my debate is not on PM Cares today. Let's be very clear. My debate is on these emails, please. Who are these individuals and entities? And if this is a violation of the law of the land, what has the Narendra Modi government done since 2021 if the ED carried out its investigation in 2021?
See, in 2021, ED had carried out the investigations, and I think we are all aware of the fact that these people, Congress and the left leaders, were extremely uncomfortable with the behavior of the investigating agencies. So I fail to understand why should they squirm. Couple of things, let me just put certain things before you. Number one, there are questions which I think the Congress needs to answer. What was Rahul Gandhi doing? He was with Chinese diplomats when Doklam happened, number one. Number two, Rajiv Gandhi Foundation has received funds from China.
Yes, ma'am, but my question is, ma'am, my question is on these emails.
Then what?
If these emails were with the Narendra Modi government and the ED since 2021, what action has been taken? This is now 2023 August.
Look, this is a very serious matter and the investigation is on. We are on the job. So right now on the TV channel, I cannot say what's happening to that, but I'm sure the government has taken the entire thing very seriously. Now, I must put before you the linkage between Congress and China. Congress's love for China. China, which at this moment is an enemy of India. And then I think in Cambridge, please recall the way Raul praised China. I think we cannot forget that. And in 2008, Congress party has signed an agreement, an MOU with CPC, with the Communist Party of China for the enhancement of Chinese interests. Don't forget that. And I reiterate in 2021, when the investigating agencies had raided NewsClick, at that point of time, these people had become very uncomfortable. And then now here are the mails that you are talking of.
Dr. Shama Mohammed,
Prakash Karat, and the people who have been mentioned. So I think this is definitely a sinister design, and the government is well aware of it, and the government is acting on it.
Sushant Sareen, the Additional Solicitor General, Devang Vyas, appeared for the NIA in Bombay High Court. He argued urban Naxals were complementary part of rural armed struggle, and urban Naxals arranged logistics and manpower and funds. Sir, this was said while opposing bail to a certain Gautam Navlakha. He is alleged to have received these Chinese funds, and we are showing that money trail as claimed by the Enforcement Directorate, sir. So if serious, if true, this is very, very serious, very, very dangerous, Sushant Sareen.
Gaurav, quite clearly, if you look at the ED report, it's a slam dunk. But what is surprising is, and I think the ED got after these guys on the basis of that Bhima Koregaon case. If somebody has any other information, please correct me. Now, unfortunately, I think what the ED has focused on, and I believe there is a case underway right now against these guys, NewsClick fellows, but that's on charges of money laundering.
Yes.
What about charges of acting as influence agents of a hostile foreign country, acting on behalf of a hostile foreign country, planting news on behalf of a hostile foreign country? Is there or is there not a law against something like that in this country? If there is not, then there should be a law. After all, the government, and I think that is something good that this government has been doing, it's been pilloried for it, but I think in retrospect, especially after this particular incident, it's something very good which this government has done by cracking down on sources of foreign funding to news organizations, to think tanks. I work in a think tank, and I can tell you it is with so much of care that every single account is maintained, for example, in the ORF and in many of the other think tanks. So there is a massive kind of a scrutiny on foreign funds which are coming in for NGOs, for missionaries, for you name the thing, right? Why is a Chinese organization funding a news organization which is not making money in India? What is the reason for investment? Now, and this is not just this Singham fellow who's working for the Chinese. Let's talk, now you bring in the entire George Soros network in this. You know, it's been floated as a conspiracy theory, but quite clearly it's not a conspiracy theory. We very often see journalists attached to the George Soros Foundation, George Soros organizations and his money asking questions in the US State Department, which again target India. We've seen this across the board.
Okay.
Now, so these are operations which are going on. The government is cracking down on it. But in this particular case, why they haven't slapped on charges of espionage against these fellows?
And that is something, Aparajita Sarangi, this cannot just be a political point or a press conference. If these charges are true, then an FIR needs to be filed, legal action taken to a logical conclusion, madam. Because Congress MP Shashi Tharoor, he says charges leveled by the BJP are absurd. The Congress says they are taking on the BJP for not being tough on China after Galwan, for peddling, you know, as Dr. Shama Mohammed was just saying, for saying na koi ghusa hai, na koi ghusaya hai. How is the Congress peddling Chinese agenda is the question they ask. Aparajita Sarangi.
See, I have mentioned earlier that the security of the I have mentioned earlier that the security of the country is our utmost priority and there cannot be any kind of compromise. You mentioned, I mentioned, in fact in 2021 ED was on the job, ED is on the job, and in fact we have taken it very seriously. The work is on, and in fact what I am trying to hint at is there is an anti-India design. There is a Break India initiative by all these people who have been rightly pointed out as, you know, who are all part of one umbilical cord. So I think the Home Ministry of Home Affairs is seized of the matter and all the investigating agencies are on the job. We have taken it very seriously.
Okay. It remains to be seen whether this is taken to its logical conclusion and whether there's a time frame. Sushant Sareen, the peddling of Chinese agenda hasn't just been restricted to border clashes. The same individual wrote in the same news portal, even on the Rafale fighter jet deal, the same fighters that the Indian Air Force has so strongly backed. China would not want India to have these latest fighter jets. And were so many within our country, Sushant Sareen, trying to stall that process and that procurement.
Yeah, and that is the unfortunate part, you know, and you know, it pains me to say this because the Congress party has traditionally been the standard bearer of Indian nationalism in this country, right?
Yes.
It was the party of national interest. It was the party of governance in this country. And to see the kind of decline in the Congress party, the kind of agendas they have started backing, agendas which are clearly anti-India, the kind of rhetoric they indulge in, it pains somebody like me who was at least at one point of time a very strong Congress supporter, right? And a lot of people have moved away from the Congress party precisely because of this reason, that they seem to be pushing dubious agendas. And quite clearly, when the Congress party made a big deal out of the Rafale issue, which was essentially a government-to-government sale. Now, either you are saying that, you know, the Indian government was paying the French president of that time a certain bribe to get these aircraft, which was utter nonsense, of course. It was very clear that this was a deal whose time had come, in fact, whose time had come many, many years back. For 20 years, we had been going around the bush to try and get these aircraft, and we were flying those flying coffins called MiG-21s. I think it's shameful for a country like India to be flying those damn aircraft, and then we saw what happened, you know, later on.
You know, they were excellent at one point of time. You're absolutely right, MiG-21s, but right now, the Rafales...
These people have these aircraft have spooked the Pakistanis, they've spooked the Chinese. So obviously the Chinese would want to, you know, muddy the waters every time there is some new equipment going to come in. And who better to use than these useful idiots in the Indian media who will push a certain agenda, either knowingly or unknowingly. In this case, it seems
either knowingly or unknowingly, or was it all this money that's being talked about? If crores and crores were being paid, then there would be a money trail, and let's see if legal action backed by evidence follows, or are these just political charges that are leveled in the run-up to 2024 elections. Aparajita Sarangi, we would be tracking the story very, very closely. Dr. Shama Mohammad, Aprajita Sarangi and Sushant Sareen for joining me here on India First. Many thanks. Coming up next is Business Today with Nabila Jamal.
In politics, everyone has an opinion, but I have the data. Whose stock is rising? Whose graph is falling? Track India's political stock exchange. Unmatched, unmissable data analytics. The only show on News TV where numbers do the talking. India's most credible poll tracker. The political stock exchange with Rahul Kamal only on India Today.
Traveling from different parts.
Armed with facts,
Looking at political back.
she takes the news by its horns.
Do you think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold, and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories from every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Welcome to Business Today. I'm Nabila Jamal. I'm going to take you through the top business news of the day. Let me start with more than 85% of tax filers are still opting for the old tax regime. Deductions and exemptions still the mainstay of the middle class. Business Today TV in a special conversation with tax expert Wade Jain. We get you an exclusive conversation with top investor Samir Arora. He tells us why investors are disillusioned with China and headed now to India, and also why the best is yet to come for the Dalal Street. Markets end with minor losses, even as the interest rate deciding the panel of RBI starts its three-day huddle. PSU banks shine while metals drag to take Sensex down by 107 points, while the Nifty closes 26 points in red. More signs of weaknesses in Chinese economy. Exports in July fall the highest in 3 years. World worries now that China's sneeze could have the global economy catching a cold. Pepperfry co-founder Amrish Murthy passes away during a trip for an off-site meet in Leh. The avid adventurer suffered a heart attack, passed away last night. Now, taxpayers are still relying on the old tax regime to file their returns. Figures released by the Central Board of Direct Taxes show that 85% of filers had chosen the old ways with deductions and exemptions. However, as Business Today TV managing editor Siddharth Zarabi discovered in a conversation with noted tax expert Wade Jain, the trend could really change in the coming years.
I believe by and large, people who are opting for the new regimes are the new taxpayers. And the old taxpayer, see long-term saving having made commitment and there being statutory requirement, it becomes difficult to switch over to the new model. So now take the case of the people who are employed. Now under the PF Act, employee contribution is mandatory. So you have to contribute as an EPF, and then you're entitled to claim a deduction under Section 80C. So you feel better to continue with the old regime. Similarly, if you have taken an insurance policy on your life and you have already made a commitment of a particular premium every year, now you're duty bound to pay that premium every year. And if you are paying that, you would obviously like to claim exemption, and you will like to take the benefit of that deduction also. Same is the case with the other savings at such scheme which your people have. Public Provident Fund continues to be quite attractive because the interest income is also exempt, and what you contribute, that is also exempt, and what you get back later on, that is also exempt. So that is the model which I believe is, I think people are still preferring, but it will taper down over a period. Because as the time passes on, your commitment to contribute to the LIC or life insurance premium, public provident fund, or repayment of the housing loan, etc., these will taper down, and obviously more and more people will like to prefer to switch over to the new scheme because it gives you more money in your hand. You are more comfortable because you are free to do whatever you want to do on that part. But another aspect, there may be some people, I think there can be a class of taxpayers which believe for social security in the life later on the future in retirement, they need to continue with the investment. They need to have, if the family combination, there is only one bread earner, so he will like to prefer to have an insurance policy, and in case premium is being paid and is eligible for deduction, he will like to continue. Similarly, you would like to have something, a scheme like NPS, etc., where you get some annuity or payment of the pension or retirement. So it will continue, but over a period, definitely the way the finance minister has announced the new regime, and which ultimately appears to be beneficial overall for the individual taxpayer, except when you are looking for a social security or when you have made already commitment. So probably over a period, I will see down the line, maybe 3 to 5 years, it will taper down and you will have the higher number of the units. The Indian tax rates so far personal taxation is concerned are the reasonable, and there is no, in my thought process of view, there is no reason to reduce it further. So 30% tax rate with a particular surcharge beyond a particular income, I believe, when we look at across the world, you will find that Indian tax rates are reasonable on that part. See, we must try to appreciate one thing, that government needs revenue for its infrastructures, for development, for economic growth, social welfare scheme, everything. Now, those who have capacity or those who are ability to pay, they must contribute. Now, with a 30% rate and a surcharge because you will know that under the new regime, the surcharge is maximum 15% now. If that be the case, then 30% plus 15% plus 4% education cess somewhere takes me down to the 36%. 1/3 of your income, but beyond a particular limit, I think is a reasonably good rate. But there can be some adjustment in the slabs only, because our slab goes from 5, 10, 15 very steeply. So what the finance minister can think of as a fiscal policy can be that these can be staggered further, and instead of a steep increase from 5 to 7.5 to 10 to 12.5, I think this can be increased, and the maximum marginal rate can be increased on income beyond 50 lakh rupees, rather which goes up beyond 20 lakh rupees or 10 lakh rupees at present. So there is a scope where this can be done, but overall rate cannot be reduced and should not be reduced according to me.
Now, the best is yet to come for Indian markets and for the Indian economy. That's the message Sameer Arora of Helios Capital had to give out in an exclusive conversation with Business Today TV. According to veteran investor, more opportunities will open up as India emerges as an investment destination and an outsourcing hub parallel to China for global community.
Since you're based in Singapore and you deal with the entire Asian investment universe, China plus one is what India is touted as, and over the last 2 or 3 months I am also seeing a lot of reports where people, companies and big ones at that, are voting with their feet when it comes to moving money away from China and bringing it into India, whether it is in the form of FDI and FII. Is this a trend which is here to stay? Since you do a lot of macro as well, how would you see a global allocator of funds on the FII side and a company which wants to use India as a sourcing base over the next 10 years?
Actually, if you want to reduce it to one line, this is the story. The one-line story is China plus one. You can look at it both from the FII, that is the portfolio investor, and also the guys who want to set up supply chain, their operations, production, etc. in India. So the first one, which is the FII part, is easier to understand, that it is happening because the investors are frustrated with their returns from China. So in the last 25 years, the returns from China would be less than 2% per annum. And this is when you say that their GDP went up, whatever, 9-10% per annum. So it has truly disappointed investors because of various policy actions where the returns were made and then lost over the last 4 or 5 years. And now people are so sick of it that in newspapers like Financial Times, every third, fourth day, there's an article on how investors want to cancel China and how investors are looking for China-free benchmarks. So these things are very big now in the sense that even people are willing to name themselves as that we are not investing in China. It is not being said by people who refuse to give their name kind of stories. On the other hand, in terms of the FDI, that people have realized after COVID and maybe around other issues that it is too risky to put all your eggs in one basket. That if there is some zero COVID policy or some technical issue, or US, which now considers China as a threat, might sanction or might blacklist or do whatever. And also from our side, that is India's side, that we are offering a big market, but also on the other hand, saying that if you don't make in India, your either your license requirements are tougher or that you'll have to pay duties or you will not get that 10, 15, 20%. I mean, you'll basically have this make in India duties kind of thing. That it is also logical for many of them to make in India.
Mr. Arora, we've seen this fantastic rally that's enveloped us on the new age companies, the ones that had disappointed us very, very sharply in 2020, 2021 because of the way their IPOs were priced. I won't name any of them because that will be an issue in terms of regulations for you to comment on. But as a sector and as a structural theme, the new age companies, whether it's the internet-based one, are they on your radar when it comes to putting money in them? Are they at a position where you feel now that they are good enough for at least a medium to long-term punt?
So we actually bought two of them, and I can give the names, I don't mind, because these names we have said publicly in a few other interviews, which is Zomato and Paytm. And by chance, we bought both of them at a good price. Both of them were down some 60-70% from their peak. In the case of Paytm, the IPO price was the peak. And we bought it maybe 75% lower than that, around 500. So the thing is, both of these have had massive rallies. We still hold both of them. But still now, the prices are very different from what they were 5-6 months ago. So please be cautious. But in general, even in the others which we don't own, but we should have owned, even those stocks have done well because, as you said correctly, the biggest thing that was wrong with them was not their business. It was that the private equity guys were trying to extract too much of a premium for listing them in those hot days of 2021 for new issues. And therefore, that punishment has been taken by people who did not look at the price, but only looked at future prospects. The future prospects actually have become quite okay now as the other weaker companies have basically gone out of business. So if there were, let's say, I don't know, but let's say there were 50, 60 fintech or maybe 100 fintech companies in India 2 years ago, private that is, maybe now there are 10 or 20 left, of which right now 1 or 2 only are public. So same thing in food delivery where there must have been at least 15 companies that were funded and now only 2 are left. And therefore like that, even though the business might be whatever it is, but the competition has come down, the competition from private equity funding, new startups who are willing to lose money for many years, that has died down. So whoever has survived, and these guys, I mean, by the time you are listed, mostly you have survived.
Yes.
then you get the future prospects and growth. But it's very different from 6 months ago when we were buying them.
You've been possibly the longest holder in private banks as far as I can recall. And they've come up with some of the most fantastic numbers in recent memory. When it comes to India's financial sector, do you think we still have a lot of momentum left for the next 5 to 10 years? Because this is a capex-led move. Where do you see value in that particular financial segment, the private sector banks?
So financial sector or private sector banks particularly have done well because we started with very low penetration of banking itself. And secondly, the story came that, which is what I got right from the 90s, is that the private sector banks will compete with public sector banks or state-owned banks and also gain massive market share. And that was the story of all these HDFC banks and Kotak banks and all these other stories, which we got right. Now, over time, the penetration has happened, but still there is a public sector market share to lose over time. Maybe State Bank is still very good and Bank of Baroda is very good. But other banks in the state-owned banks, I don't think that they are able to handle the new millennials and the app-based consumer and the consumers who want to do things online. And therefore, there will still be market share to lose over time collectively for the state-owned banks. And so many banks exist, we don't even know why they are there. So all that market share will go away to the private sector banks. And in any case, banking grows at some 1.5 times the GDP. Even today, you look at it in the US, Warren Buffett still owns Bank of America and many people own JP Morgan. So these things are not 5-10 year stories. These are stories that go on forever. According to me, 3 stories go on forever, which is financials, consumer and IT types. Because something or the other in general, I'm not going Indian IT right now for 2 months, but in a general sense, these stories are forever. Sometimes maybe little bit overweight, little bit underweight, but these are very, very good long-term stories in any market.
You could, of course, catch the full exclusive interview on our social media and YouTube channels on Business Today. All right, now let's take a quick look at how the Sensex and the Nifty has performed in today's trade. Equity markets settled lower today in a volatile trading session. Bulls and bears were in a tough tug-of-war but failed to move indices much. Traders kept cautious ahead of RBI's monetary policy that is due later in the week, and key economic data from the United States has also played a factor. For the day, BSE Sensex dropped 107 points to end the day at 65,847, while NSE's Nifty 50 shed 26 points to settle at 19,571. Broader markets outperformed the headline peers as BSE mid-cap and small-cap indices ended with gains. The top Nifty gainers were SBI Life, Hero MotoCorp, Cipla, Tech Mahindra and Wipro. The top Nifty laggards were Adani Enterprises, Hindalco, M&M, Divi's Lab and JSW Steel. Maruti Suzuki is likely to see a 4% dilution in outstanding shares when it issues equity to Japan's Suzuki Motors for its stake in Gujarat plant. The board of Maruti Suzuki today approved issuing equity shares to the Japanese parent on preferential basis as consideration for 100% stake in Suzuki Motor Gujarat. Now, as a result, Suzuki Motor's stake in Maruti Suzuki will increase to 58.2% from the current 56.4%. According to the company, the other option of paying the parent in cash was also explored but rejected in favor of preferential share issue. Now let's slip into a short break. On the other side, a detailed report on how the China economy is currently crumbling along with its exports. Stay with us.
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 38 and minimum 28 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 31 and minimum 27 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 31 and minimum 25 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 26 and minimum 22 degrees. Chennai, maximum 34 and minimum 28 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 30 and minimum 22 degrees.
Welcome back. Chinese exports have witnessed their biggest drop in 3 years. Exports in July plunged by more than 14% on year, their third straight month of a drop. The fall is much higher than expected and is leading to fears that the second largest economy in the world may be in deeper trouble than anticipated. Importantly, the world is now wondering what impact could this have on the already dented global economy.
For a country considered the epicenter of COVID-19, the pandemic is the watershed moment, turning the tide on China's powerhouse economy. With the Xi Jinping government closing off the country for almost 3 years to battle COVID, the after effects of the pandemic are manifesting themselves now. In the latest disappointment, China's imports and exports fell much faster than expected in July. While imports dropped 12.4% in July, year-on-year, exports contracted 14.5%, steeper than an expected 12.5% decline and the previous month's 12.4% fall. Not only has this threatened growth prospects in the world's second largest economy and heightened pressure for the Chinese government to provide fresh stimulus, it is also leading to fears that the entire world could be headed towards an economic slowdown. The figure is just the latest in a series of economic negativities from Beijing. Investment in China has stagnated the past few months after a flurry of activity in late winter. The housing sector, which accounts for a quarter of the Chinese economy, has stalled and even shrinking in some areas. Fewer and fewer new housing projects are being started. Prices are falling with June inflation falling 20 basis points on month. More than 1 in 5 young people are unemployed. All this led to a GDP growth rate of 6.3% in April to June, which is lower than what analysts expected. Poor imports and exports are the latest sign that third quarter growth could slow further, with construction, manufacturing and services activities, foreign direct investment and industrial profits all weakening. Meanwhile, the pain is being felt by Chinese youth, with unemployment hitting the highest levels in the post-pandemic times. According to reports, joblessness in the 16 to 24 age group rose to 21.3% in June. The situation could get worse with a record 11.6 million university graduates entering the job market later this year. What is also working against China, as Morgan Stanley recently said in its report, are the increasing multipolar world's pressures on the country. This contrasts sharply to the investment bankers' assessment of India, which it says is emerging as an authoritative voice in global geopolitics. Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
Now, one of India's most successful startups has lost its founder. Sadly, Amrish Murthy, the co-founder of online furniture store Pepperfry, died of a cardiac arrest in Leh on Monday. The 51-year-old entrepreneur was there with his team, his strategy team of Pepperfry, for an off-site meeting. Murthy was a fitness freak and a trekker himself, founded Pepperfry along with Ashish Shah in 2011. Before that, he's also worked with Cadbury, ICICI, AMC and also Britannia. Ashish Shah was the one who broke the news on Twitter, saying sadly Murthy has passed away Monday night. The two were working together at eBay when the idea of a furniture store came up. Murthy was an engineer and an IIM alumna and is survived by his wife and younger sister. Now, the Indian auto component industry has clocked its highest ever turnover of $69.7 billion, growing 32.8% in 2022-23, according to ACMA, the Components Manufacturers Association. The sector is set for a double-digit growth this year as well. Here's BTV's Business Today TV's Chetan Bhutani in conversation with Sanjay Kapoor, who's the president of ACMA. Let's have a listen.
A record set of numbers, sir. Good growth, robust sales. What is it being backed by? A good demand for SUVs, or what are the trend that you're seeing?
So yeah, we're definitely seeing a trend towards SUVs, but we're also seeing great demand in India. The domestic market has picked up. We're seeing demand there. We're seeing demand in exports. The United States is 30% of our exports, grew by 8%. The EU grew by 3%. Asia grew by 4%. So we're definitely seeing growth play out in India. I also feel that the China 1+ strategy is playing out, and therefore we're seeing a lot of growth. You're right, record numbers. We've had a 33% growth in sales revenue. We've maintained a 30% in export. Our import is almost the same as export. So, we're doing great stuff when it comes to localization as well. And, we hope that this growth continues. And I don't see why it shouldn't. If everything goes as it is, we should see double-digit growth next year as well.
Government recently, in a spate of events in the electric vehicle manufacturing is concerned, the government has actually stopped the subsidies for FAME 2 and is actually looking at the continuation of FAME 3 coming up. What do you think? Is it the right time for the government to stop the subsidy, or the FAME 3 should continue? What is your perspective on that?
So I don't think the government stops subsidy. I think the government has withdrawn subsidies from companies that did not meet the criteria. So I think that's a different aspect. And I think, from an OEM's perspective, subsidies do help. But at some point, we need to work without subsidies, and that'll happen. And it's happening across countries. It's how it is.
Do you think it's too soon right now for the government to withdraw? Or do you think some more time could have been given, or some more support could have been given?
So I think the government's got some great schemes, even in terms of PLI. And if you look at the PLI scheme, 67 companies from the auto component industry have been approved. With the criteria that we make certain investments, and we make certain investments in future technologies. So again, the government is very encouraging of the fact that we need to invest in technology. We need to localize. The crux of these schemes are to reduce our import dependence, to localize as well as to export. So you need to look at it from an overall perspective.
All right, and that's a wrap on today's Business Edition. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for news and updates coming up next.
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 38 and minimum 28 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 31 and minimum 27 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 31 and minimum 25 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 26 and minimum 22 degrees. Chennai, maximum 34 and minimum 28 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 30 and minimum 22 degrees.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Freedom comes with self-knowledge.
I've become fearless over the years, but I definitely didn't start off like that. Being a street artist, one kind of creates an ability to be able to be in one's element no matter where we are. None of us are free until all of us are free. As women, we are not going to be given anything. We have to reclaim it and we have to own it.
Good evening, viewers. Let's take a look at the weather report across the major cities this evening. Thiruvananthapuram is at 30 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 38. Mumbai is at 30 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 66. Panji is at 29 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 68. Ahmedabad is at 32 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 69. Bhopal is at 28 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 24. Jaipur is at 32 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 75. Delhi is at 34 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 84. Srinagar is at 29 degrees Celsius with AQI being 69. Lucknow is at 34 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 101. Patna is at 29 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 57. Kolkata is at 30 degrees with an AQI of 60. Hyderabad is at 30 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 57. Bangalore is at 29 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 33. Chennai is at 36 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 44. This is all we have for you in this segment. Hope wherever you are, you find favorable weather around you. Keep watching India Today for all the weather updates with me AI Sana all through the day.
Good evening and welcome. You're watching the news track. I'm Rahul Kamal. Who won day one of the no confidence motion in Parliament? Was it the Treasury branches or was it the opposition? Who are the big guns who fired? What to expect tomorrow and the day after? All that and more on the biggest political story in India coming up on the news track tonight.
Adalpur Mandi mein Raul ji ka
72-hour no-trust war kicks off. Team India takes on Team Modi.
हमारी मजबूरी है।
इनका लेटर है सर, प्रेस में चल रहा है।
Congress bowls Rahul Googly.
मजबूरी है कि हम सर ये अविश्वास प्रस्ताव हमारी मजबूरी है।
Opener Rahul pulls back at last minute.
करना चाहते हैं कि सदन आपके दफ्तर में जो बात
Congress saving Rahul for final shot. Stage set for Rahul versus Modi showdown. Big focus on news track.
The three-day no-trust war kicked off in Parliament today. It was expected that Rahul Gandhi would be the opening batsman for Team India. But the Congress made a last-minute change in their batting order and held Rahul back to do the pinch hitting, instead sending Gaurav Gogoi to open the innings. The Congress party sources are telling India Today that the Congress would like to set up a Rahul versus Modi showdown. But the BJP doesn't want that to happen either. They've got one tail-ender batsman they want to squeeze in between Rahul Gandhi and the Prime Minister. So it doesn't seem like the Prime Minister is responding to Rahul Gandhi, but this one other BJP MP stroke minister will. So lots of games within games playing out in Parliament on this big story. Who won day one and why? We look at that. But first up, here is our lead story tonight.
Optics, perception and strategy.
महोदय मैं निम्नलिखित प्रस्ताव पेश करता हूं कि ये सभा मंत्री परिषद में विश्वास का भाव व्यक्त करती है।
It's not Rahul Gandhi leading the no-trust debate against the BJP government. A day after he made a comeback to the floor of the Lok Sabha, his name struck through the list of party speakers.
सर हमारी मांग स्पष्ट थी कि देश के मुखिया होने के नाते प्रधानमंत्री सदन में आए, अपनी बात रखे, अपनी संवेदना प्रकट करे और उस पर सारे पार्टी समर्थन दे और मणिपुर को एक संदेश जाए कि इस दुख की घड़ी में पूरा सदन मणिपुर के साथ है। हम मणिपुर में शांति चाहते हैं, मणिपुर के छात्र इंसाफ मांगते हैं।
Congress instead pitched its MP Gaurav Gogoi to lead the charge on Tuesday. The last last-minute change even bewildered the government benches.
क्या हुआ सर? हम तो राहुल गांधी जी के भाषण सुनने के लिए हम उत्सुक है सर, हम उत्सुक है राहुल गांधी का। राहुल क्या हो गया ऐसे क्या?
The move is calculated. According to Congress sources, it's part of strategic game plan.
So many और कितने भी बड़ा और टेबल कर दूंगे सर।
The Gandhi science speech on the no trust motion reserved for the day when the Prime Minister would be physically present in the Lok Sabha. Prime Minister Modi is expected to reply to the motion on August 10. Rahul Gandhi held back from speaking till the Prime Minister is seen in the House on or before August 10. Congress appears to be meticulously crafting its narrative to showcase him as a formidable contender, ready to take on the Prime Minister head-on, and position him as the principal figure of the 26-party India alliance. Adding context to this political maneuvering, a Lok Niti CSDS survey in May showed Prime Minister Modi as the top choice for 43% of respondents if elections were held then. Nonetheless, Rahul Gandhi was seen narrowing the gap with 27% of votes in his favour, marking an increase of 4 percentage points since the 2019 survey and a significant 13-point rise since 2014. 15% of those respondents expressed their newfound appreciation for the Congress leader after his Bharat Jodo Yatra. Within the opposition ranks, Rahul Gandhi was seen garnering the maximum public support, far ahead of several other regional satraps from the non-BJP parties. As the political landscape continues to evolve with the convergence of over 24 opposition parties under one umbrella, the ongoing no-confidence debate is becoming a platform for making powerful political statements leading up to the 2024 electoral battle. Bureau Report, India Today.
The BJP held back the likes of Smriti Irani, Nirmala Sitharaman, some of whom were slated to talk today. Rahul Gandhi held back at least till tomorrow, probably till day after. But there was still quite a fiery face-off in Lok Sabha as the opening batsmen of both the opposition and the centre went out and played their game and tried to set the match up for their teams. Here are some of the key highlights of the day's action in Parliament.
सर, हमारी मांग स्पष्ट थी कि देश के मुखिया होने के नाते प्रधानमंत्री सदन में आए, अपनी बात रखे, अपनी संवेदना प्रकट करे और उस पर सारे पार्टी समर्थन दे और मणिपुर को एक संदेश जाए कि इस दुख की घड़ी में पूरा सदन मणिपुर के साथ है, हम मणिपुर में शांति चाहते हैं। ये हमारी अपेक्षा थी। लेकिन अफसोस की बात है कि ऐसा नहीं हुआ। प्रधानमंत्री महोदय ने एक मौन व्रत लिया कि सदन में ना लोकसभा में कुछ बोलेंगे, ना राज्यसभा में कुछ बोलेंगे और इसीलिए अध्यक्ष महोदय ये नौबत आनी पड़ी कि हम अविश्वास प्रस्ताव के द्वारा प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी का मौन व्रत हम तोड़ना चाहते हैं। सर, साफ 3 सवाल है प्रधानमंत्री महोदय से। सवाल पहला कि आज तक वो मणिपुर क्यों नहीं गए? राहुल जी गए, इंडिया अलायंस के विभिन्न पार्टीज गए, गृह मंत्री जी गए, MOS होम गए, पर देश के मुखिया होने के नाते प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी क्यों नहीं गए? ये है सवाल पहला। सवाल दूसरा कि लगभग 80 दिन क्यों लगे प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी को मणिपुर पे कुछ बोलने के लिए, और जब बोले तो सिर्फ 30 सेकंड के लिए बोले और उसके पश्चात आज तक भी प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी की तरफ से ना कोई संवेदना का शब्द, ना कोई शांति की याचना।
ये जो सवाल है सर, ये INDIA की बात करते हैं। मुझे तो, मैं सोनिया जी का बहुत सम्मान करता हूं और ये जो INDIA बना है सर, ये INDIA, यहां जितने लोग सांसद बैठे हैं ना, उनको रैंडम यदि आप पूछ लीजिए अपोजिशन वाले से कि INDIA का क्या फुल फॉर्म है, शायद कुछ ही लोग होंगे जो बता पाएंगे। और ये इंडिया इंडिया बात कर रहे हैं सर। मैं तो इस मणिपुर का जो है शुक्रगुजार हूं, मणिपुर का शुक्रगुजार हूं, जिसको अभी आपने डांटा सर, दानिश अली को, जिसको आपने डांटा, भारत माता की जय कहने पर भी उसको लगता है कि ये बीजेपी का नारा है। लेकिन मैं मणिपुर का शुक्रगुजार हूं कि जितना इंडिया इंडिया जो है आजादी के बाद से कांग्रेस ने नहीं किया होगा, 1947 के बाद से उतनी बार इंडिया इंडिया का यहां नारा लगा। मैं आपका शुक्रगुजार हूं।
Parliamentary Election Commission, Modi never comes to attend Parliament. He has not replied to a single question in Parliament. I have seen many other parliaments. I have never seen a man like him, who as Prime Minister does not reply to a single question.
He doesn't believe in parliamentary democracy.
He does not believe in parliamentary democracy.
मैं आपको याद दिलाना चाहता हूं और आपके माध्यम से सदन को भी और देश को भी कि अविश्वास प्रस्ताव कब लिया जाता है और किस परिस्थिति में लाया जाता है। अक्सर जब देश में कुछ ऐसा राजनीतिक हालत बन जाते हैं जहां लगता है कि सरकार का जो संख्या है उसमें कम हो जाते हैं या सरकार के पास वो ताकत नहीं रहते हैं देश को संचालित करने के लिए और नेतृत्व कमज़ोर हो जाते हैं, कई परिस्थिति होते हैं, तब अविश्वास का प्रस्ताव लाया जाता है। लेकिन आज का जो अविश्वास प्रस्ताव लाए हैं कांग्रेस पार्टी, मैं ये मानता हूं कि कांग्रेस पार्टी और विपक्ष के जो लोग हैं वो खुद ही बाद में पछताएंगे। I want to tell on record that the opposition party will regret that this no confidence motion is brought in a wrong timing and in a wrong.
So who won day one and why, and what to expect on day two and then the grand finale on day three? This is the biggest political story in the country at the moment, and no one quite tracks politics in the way that India today does. To get a sense of what the different camps think about the political action as it played out on day one, representing the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party, its spokesperson Shehzad Poonawala squaring off against him, Mohan Kumaramangalam from the Congress Party, Bishwajit Deb from the Trinamool Congress, and Rahul Srivastav, our National Affairs Editor. I want to go across to Mohan Kumaramangalam first because you put out a letter essentially suggesting that Rahul Gandhi would be opening batsman. Then you changed your mind, Gaurav Gogoi padded up, came out to bat, and I heard the BJP MP say maybe he didn't wake up on time, which is why he didn't show up, which is why you had to send somebody else to bat. Why didn't you tell our viewers what happened? Why have you held Rahul Gandhi back?
Well, I'm not going to choose to comment on that snide remark by the BJP MP. But I'll say that I'm not privy to our floor strategy. If I were to wager a guess, I would say we're waiting for when the Prime Minister actually comes to the House. He was also expected to be in the House today, and he wasn't. So my guess is that would be the reason why Mr. Gandhi hasn't spoken yet. He wants to probably speak when the Prime Minister is actually in the House for a change.
Rahul Srivastav, the buzz that I picked up in Parliament was that they want Rahul Gandhi to speak just before the Prime Minister. But the BJP doesn't want to happen. They want to insert one person in so that whoever that person is, whether it's say Minister Smriti Irani, she's the one countering Rahul Gandhi rather than it becoming Rahul versus Modi. What are you picking up?
Yes, that seems to be the strategy. See, initially it was loaded in a way that Rahul Gandhi, the Congress had approached the Speaker, mentioning that Rahul Gandhi would like to speak first.
Why did they change their mind, you think?
I think it was a strategy. Sudhir Adhiranjan Chaudhary says कि हमने Googly मारा है. Now Googly has to score a wicket. Googly has to, and in case of a no confidence motion, this is a Bofors which has been mounted to actually kill a fly. But still, if you're not bringing a government down, you have to emerge with numbers and with a perception agenda. I think perception they can have because numbers, it is going to be close to 360. That's good. The majority, 34 of the YSRCP and the BJD with the government, and I think more likely, the numbers is a different issue and the government will take that. Remember, the no confidence motion is agendaless.
Who won according to you on day one? Why?
See, day one, I have a theory, Rahul. Simple, I'll put it on the table first. I think they are trying to belittle Rahul Gandhi versus Narendra Modi. The Congress wants to make a grand show, and that's why they retracted.
No, but that's a bit like Musk versus
they wanted to do it.
Zuckerberg, but you don't. But the point is that in every battle that's happened between Rahul and Modi in the past, Modi's won each and every time. So is that even smart
also
strategy?
The advantage, a prime minister has no time-bound speech. Rahul Gandhi will have limited amount of time. Prime Minister replying to others can have endless time. So in time matters also, Prime Minister gets more space. I think the Congress made a mistake. In this debate, on specific Manipur issues, the BJP has to be a bit defensive. It will like to broad-base the debate on successes. That's why Nirmala Sitharaman is there. She will talk about the success of the economy. Nishikant's Dubey speech was very little about Manipur.
No, but let me put that question to Nishikant Dubey.
Just one more line. I think Rahul Gandhi should have spoken first, posed potent questions. BJP might not have had specific answers. For 2 days till Prime Minister Modi spoke, it would have got traction. I think they actually made a mistake. By speaking last, what will happen on that same day? First Smriti Irani will be inserted and then Prime Minister will speak. In those 3 speeches, which one will you choose more?
Unless, of course, you think you've got Surya Kumar Yadav in your midst and he can hit everyone else out of the park. But remember, Rahul Gandhi is no Surya Kumar Yadav, or hasn't been so far, and therefore just how much expectation can you have from him? Shehzad Poonawalla, if you listen to Nishikant Dubey, who was the opening batsman for the BJP, it seemed like he had a full speech prepared to counter Rahul Gandhi, except the subject changed in the end because he wasn't countering Rahul Gandhi all of a sudden, he had to counter Gaurav Gogoi. How do you think day one went for you?
First of all, I think you should stop calling glorified night watchman as opening batsman. So I think Rahul Gandhi is nothing more.
Whoever opens the match, for good or for bad, he's an opening batsman.
No, I think that what you were perceiving as an opening batsman, even the Congress has accepted that. First of all, forget no confidence against government. They have no confidence in Rahul. Because I think Rahul Srivastava is also right in another way. What he has not said, but I have understood, is that ये पहले ही दिन पर self goal कर देगा Rahul Baba. नॉट राहुल कंवल और राहुल श्रीवास्तव, तो फिर 3 दिन यही साफ करते रहेंगे. और देखो राहुल श्रीवास्तव की मुस्कुराहट, मंद मुस्कुराहट ही बहुत कुछ बोल जा रही है. तो आई थिंक दिस इज अ फर्स्ट एविडेंस दैट नो कॉन्फिडेंस इज अगेंस्ट राहुल. सेकेंडली, TR Balu spoke, Supriya Sule spoke, Dimple Yadav spoke. Apart from that, some other people spoke. Did they speak about Manipur? They were not at all serious about Manipur. Look at the extensive manner in which Kiran Rijiju has given the statement. He's a minister of the government. And look at the kind of statements that were being made by Supriya Sule. I'm sorry that I had to even be subjected to that. She's a member of parliament, but the manner in which she spoke, or Dimple Yadav spoke, I think it is disservice, and it also shows that lack of seriousness about the issue they were raising. And frankly, yesterday was the semi-final, no, Mr. Rahul? Yesterday was the semi-final. Today the final was taking place. The
this is a test match. This is a test match.
No, Mr. Kejriwal called it a semi-final. Now, nobody in the BJP is foolish to make these events as final, semi-final. Mr. Kejriwal called it semi-final. Final ke din pe opening batsman hi nahi aaya. But I have a larger question to ask. First of all, what is this no confidence motion? This is the first no confidence motion in the history of Rahul Srivastava and Rahul Kanwal that is not being brought against the government. ये एक दूसरे के बीच का no confidence है ना, आम आदमी पार्टी versus Congress,
so that's the point.
TMC versus left. There no confidence is being done. And lastly, it is an exercise to build confidence in Rahul's leadership. This is the exercise that is being done in the name of Manipur.
From a Trinamool perspective, even the right idea, as you know, we look at day 1, build up to day 2, then day 3. The Congress very clearly wants to make this Rahul versus Modi. Would Mamta Di want the same, or do you think that could be a disaster? Because most Modi versus Rahul fights have ended just one way. You kind of already know who the winner is. At least so far that's been the case.
Well, let me make it clear that irrespective of the outcome, in a parliamentary system of democracy, this is the instrument to compel the Prime Minister to make his speech inside the House of the Parliament. We must hear the Prime Minister. We are not there to listen to the Home Minister. The Prime Minister has to address the nation on the issue of Manipur. It's a very serious issue where hundreds of people have lost their lives.
He will on Thursday. You aren't answering my question.
Arms are being brought from abroad. Please let me finish. Arms are being brought from abroad. AK-47 is being used. The Manipur government has failed miserably. The union government has failed miserably. The entire state is in a mess, and there is every probability that this fire will spread to the other states of the Northeast. And we are very surprised that the Prime Minister has got no time either to visit Manipur or to make a statement inside the House. It's a shame.
Bishwajit, it's almost like you didn't hear my question, so let me ask you again.
Prime Minister of India
Okay, let me ask you again. You know, like a lawyer, you're reading off from your prepared text. My question to you was, how did day one go? The Congress wants to make this Raul versus Modi. Does Mamta Di think that's a good idea? Respond to my question, Dada.
First of all, you must understand that it's an alliance. It's an India alliance. And we are all together. We need to fight out this particular autocratic government. If we need to save the country, if we need to save our motherland, if we need to save our constitution, we have to be together and we need to remove this particular government with the blessings of the people of India. Now coming to Manipur, this is a very core issue which the government is trying to avoid. The government is repeatedly trying to avoid. The Prime Minister has got time since 3rd of May.
Okay, you're repeating what you said but not answering my question. My question, sir, was, can you hear me, Bishwajit Da? Can you hear me, sir? My question is, how was day one? Congress wants to make this Raul versus Modi. Does Mamta Banerjee think that's a good idea? You're not answering my question, Dada. I can't ask the same question again and again.
You are trying to twist the entire matter. You must understand that the Parliament now has moved a no confidence motion. The opposition has moved a no confidence motion against the government, and the government has to reply. And it is the Prime Minister whom the nation.
I've understood what you're saying. So Bishwajit Dev is a good lawyer. He's come with a script. He said, doesn't matter what the moderator says, I will go off on my talking points. But I want to go across to Mohan Kumar Mangalam, because there is an inherent risk in upping the ante and seeking to turn this into a Modi versus Rahul gladiatorial contest, because each and every time Rahul Gandhi and Prime Minister Modi have gone head on head, this battle has ended just one way. Why then does the Congress want, you saw how Bishwajit Dev, thrice I asked the same question, didn't even respond to it. They don't want to make this Rahul versus Modi, even if they don't say that this much rather be Team India versus Prime Minister Modi and his government. You're looking to up the ante on Rahul. You think he's changed post the Bharat Jodo Yatra, but every battle Modi versus Rahul ended just one way so far.
Raul Srivastava ji made that excellent point, but the Prime Minister often speaks last and has the maximum amount of time to speak. I still don't think he's won every battle. He has always managed to evade the questions placed to him. But thankfully, when they're placed by Mr. Rahul Gandhi, those questions go on record and become part of mainstream media. That in itself is a victory, I would say. You could argue who wins what debate. And what Shehzad Baba is not talking about is why the Prime Minister is running away from the debate till the very last day. It's been over 90 days and he refuses to talk about Manipur in the House. And Manipur is very much been the main reason why this has been brought. I think Gaurav Gogai's speech was excellent. It covered a whole range of issues about what's going on with Manipur. And even though Mr. Kiran Rijiju maybe spoke after 4 or 5 speakers after, and Gaurav Gogoi opened the speeches, he wasn't able to respond to anything that Gaurav Gogoi said in his speech.
Shehzad Kumar Mangalam is asking, as are many other opposition leaders, why doesn't the Prime Minister sit in the House and listen to what's being discussed?
This is what you are asking, what Kumar Mangalam asked and what Mr.
No, but respond to my question.
I'm responding to your question, but I'll also respond to the opposition's question. Mr. Dev and he both said that why isn't the Prime Minister speaking? In no confidence motion, can Prime Minister speak first?
No, that's not the question.
The point.
The question is
the lack of knowledge about the proceedings of Parliament.
Sit in Parliament and listen to what's being said.
I'll come to that also. No, I did not interrupt Mr. I can't answer 3 people at one time. I can answer 1 person one time. Let me answer in the way I decide. Secondly, if they were so interested in a charcha on Manipur, Rahul Kanwal and Rahul Srivastava, both of whom look at Parliament very seriously, how come 9 days the stand was Prime Minister must speak on Manipur, else no allowing of any business in house, and then Delhi Services Bill they changed the stand? What is special about Delhi Services Bill vis-a-vis the other bills that were passed in Parliament that they changed the stand that Manipur par Pradhan Mantri pehle bole, that was their consistent stand? How come that changed only at the time of Delhi Services Bill? That means their intention was never about Manipur. It was always about saving this so-called alliance, where Mr. Dev can't even say that whether Rahul Gandhi is their projected leader in this alliance, at least in Parliament, at least for this event of no confidence motion. And finally, as far as Prime Minister's presence is concerned, the Prime Minister has to respond in the end to all So he is taking note and cognizance of everything that is being said in the House. But I want to ask that why is it that Rahul Gandhi was not put forward as was being said by Congress leaders that he's going to be the opening batsman? Is it because they are shy that Rahul Gandhi would have made such a big gaffe that because of that gaffe, then 3 days they would have to only cover up for the gaffe? Or secondly, please tell me now the other speakers, Saugata Roy, T.R. Balu, Supriya Sule, Dimple Yadav, how much of their time was devoted on Manipur? Please tell me. You are telling me Prime Minister should speak on Manipur. Please tell me how much time the honorable leaders of opposition were devoting to Manipur. And thirdly, I am asking a very direct question. Kiran Rijiju has asked on record, and maybe the Congress spokesperson can answer. We have 5 sitting ministers from the Northeast. You tell me how many ministers you made between 2004 to 14. Let's talk about the incidents that used to take place. The incidents of insurgency have come down by 80%. The civilian deaths have come down by 90%. The number of railways, airports have doubled in the last 9 years. Yes, there are many things that need to be sorted out in Manipur. It is not a one-day affair. It is a legacy issue we are dealing with. But you tell me, if you are serious about it, why did you not allow Parliament to function for 9 days and then change your stand for Delhi Services Bill? How committed are you to the cause of Manipur? You are not committed. You said 267 mein charcha karo.
Vishwajit Dev wants to come in. Vishwajit Dev wants to respond to Shehzad Poonawala. Go ahead, Vishwajit.
Yes. I want to ask Mr. Poonawala that why in Rajya Sabha the chairman is not allowing a debate under Rule 267. Why Manipur is not being discussed for a long duration? Because this is a very serious issue. Why the government is shying out? Why the government is trying to avoid a discussion on Manipur? Why the Prime Minister is not coming inside the House? He has made a statement for only 30 seconds and that too outside the House. He doesn't have any time for Manipur. Why is that?
Let me ask that question to Rahul Srivastava.
Only 2 Lok Sabha seats. Only two Lok Sabha seats. Whereas in Bengal, he has time to come several times because Bengal has 42 Lok Sabha seats. This is the difference. This is the difference because they don't consider Manipur to be a part of India.
Okay, very quickly.
Very quickly, if their intention was Manipur is the only important issue that needs to be discussed, please tell me that a no confidence motion is a motion against the entire government on which a whole range of issues can be discussed, technically, constitutionally speaking. Why did they go for that? And why did they change their stand on Delhi Services Bill?
Okay, Rahul
why are they
Srivastava,
answering that question?
What is the best response that you've picked up about why the Prime Minister is not in the House listening to the debate? Because the argument I heard from the BJP in Parliament is even if he's there and if the opposition leader is just going to heckle and abuse him, then there's no point in him sitting there. They say that he's sitting in his cabin, listening very carefully and taking notes and will respond when his turn comes.
See, what I have noticed that times when you're in Parliament, that we are told that Prime Minister is listening to a debate. That's one thing is very clear.
But not inside the House.
That he listens, not inside the... See, most of the major debates he's there, but I have not seen a Prime Minister sit through the entire debates. It doesn't happen.
It never happened in the past.
Not really. It doesn't happen.
So that's an unfair expectation.
No, I think what is happening is that there's definitely, given the kind of issues where the opposition feels that the Prime Minister should speak, Modi is, say, I've done a write-up on this, that Manmohan Singh spoke on several occasions. I think it's a tendency now that a Prime Minister who has lesser authority or lesser numbers is more inclined to speak in Parliament. Somebody who has a majority has got speaking directly to the public doesn't feel very inclined to speak in
Which is a strange thing because what comes out from the data, Shehzad, is that Prime Minister Modi has actually spoken on fewer occasions in Parliament than Manmohan Singh.
30 versus 70.
In the years that they've been in power, who would have thought that Prime Minister Modi would be speaking lesser than Manmohan Singh?
I think that comparison that you have made, first of all, you need to see who was more effective and who was speaking for himself. So let us also understand that Manmohan Singh was hardly speaking for himself. And most of the times the speaking was being done or ordinances were being torn outside by people who are not even in government. So who had the authority when they were speaking in Parliament? Secondly, what is the question today? The question is that if they wanted a serious debate on Manipur, I have asked the two gentlemen
Let me put that question to
why is it that they compromise their stand on Delhi services issue?
Why is it that such little time, if this is so much about Manipur, why is it that such little time is spent by the likes of Saugata Roy, Dimple Yadav, Supriya Sule in their speech actually talking about Manipur?
So I'll say that I saw pretty much the entire day's proceedings. I think Supriya Sule was very conscious, and even though she doesn't belong to my party, and I'm not speaking for her, but as an observer, I would say she was fairly conscious about not repeating many of the points that were made by speakers before her. And when you're putting the government on the mat in a no confidence motion, yes, one of the primary issues we're here to discuss is Manipur, but there is a whole range of reasons why we believe this government has lost confidence of the people. And therefore, it was important for her, and she did put forth very, very good arguments on inflation, on the erosion of many of the institutions, and I think she made a good speech. And if you look at some of the other speakers, like Mr. Gaurav Gogoi, who opened, he spoke almost exclusively about Manipur. He covered a huge range of issues, right from the increase in the number of acres of poppy fields to someone in their own government in Manipur actually going ahead and allowing the release of one of the drug peddlers who was caught there. He was related to one of the ministers in the Manipur government. He talked about how 5,000 arms have been stolen from the armories, and these are arms that you would go to war with, like light machine guns or big rifles, grenades. So he covered a huge range of issues in Manipur. I think the majority of the speech.
Rahul Srivastava, what should viewers expect tomorrow? We know that there's Home Minister Amit Shah speaking. A lot of his focus will be on Manipur. He's been itching for an opportunity to speak in Parliament and explain to the people of India what he's done, what the government has done. Is that the big highlight?
Yes,
what else?
Amit Shah is going to be a big one because I believe the opposition wasted one day of debate. If Manipur was the focus on which they wanted to paint at Prime Minister Narendra Modi's door, failed Prime Minister. That's what the idea is. Rahul, be very clear, that's the only idea. The opposition has been itching. It was itching in 2018. Chaukidar Chor Hai emerged from that debate, that hug and wink emerged from that debate to set the perception agenda, failed. Again, the idea is this. Definitely, the Congress is upbeat. Rahul Gandhi is doing better. The idea is again to write on Prime Minister Modi's door, failed. But you have wasted one day. If you want to build a narrative, where is Manipur today? Am I going back home with several questions on Manipur that the government failed? The opposition has not done it. Tomorrow, Amit Shah will come and give a huge, strong explanation. I'm not saying we agree with it, but
that will be part of the Home Minister's speech. Many more people died than currently, and in Parliament there were short discussions, and the response at that time was from the Minister of State for Home Affairs, Rajesh Pilot. Here the Home Minister has spoken in the no confidence motion, the Prime Minister will speak. So there are points that the Home Minister will attack the past performance of the Congress governments by.
Let's hear him out. I'm looking forward to seeing what he has to say. I want to make one point, Rahul, not in response to what you're asking me, but what in response to Shahzad said in the beginning, which is that this was actually nothing more than a test of the opposition's alliance. And I have to say, we already tested the opposition alliance with the Delhi Ordinance Act. So there was no need to bring this about. The other question he's asked repeatedly is why did it actually allow for there to be a debate on the Delhi Ordinance Act? Well, frankly, the no confidence motion had already been called. And while even talking about the Delhi Ordinance Act, and there were a couple of other bills that passed without debate, there was no way we were going to let this pass without debate. And even while talking about it, we said that it is unprecedented that any government is allowing for debate or passing of bills while a no confidence motion has been scheduled. Normally, this never happens in Parliament. But then,
so let's spend a moment talking about the grand finale. Day 3. Prime Minister Modi's response in conclusion to this debate, and before that Rahul Gandhi. Now whether he's the speaker just before or a little before that because the BJP may want to bring somebody in, how does that get decided? Let's assume that Rahul Gandhi speaks. Can the Congress try and set up the order in a way that he's the penultimate speaker before the Prime Minister, or does the BJP have the prerogative to choose the order and insert someone like Smriti Irani?
See, this is open. This is not necessary.
Who decides this?
The treasury benches can decide who is going to end the debate and who is going to speak after whom. The opposition does not. A list has to be submitted. Now, eventually on that day list, if there is Rahul Gandhi's name, the BJP can always insert a name. The opposition cannot choose that Rahul Gandhi will speak the last after the treasury benches, because that choice also has to be made. So the government can insert.
Why is Shashi Tharoor not on that list? He's arguably the best speaker.
I have a feeling that since Congress has only 51 members of parliament, it has a certain 2-hour time. And if they give too many Congress speakers, there will be little time for Rahul Gandhi.
But they have a list of many more than those who've spoken. Yeah. So surely on merit, Mohan Kumaramangalam, someone like a Shashi Tharoor should have been on that list, unless of course Congress is still holding a grudge against him for standing for the Congress President's election.
Dr. Tharoor made a very eloquent speech on the Delhi Ordinance Act debate. He was
He's
leading the
already
debate for
spoken.
the party.
No, but he should have spoken on the no confidence motion.
Well, that would be your opinion. I assume the party made a decision after it gave him the debate to lead the debate on Delhi Ordinance Act that he wouldn't speak in this debate. They're probably giving some other people a chance.
Rahul, may I now just come in very quickly? Look, it is clear and evident as daylight that their intention wasn't to have a full fleshed out debate on Manipur. Their entire agenda is how to project Rahul Gandhi as the best leader in the pack of this so-called opposition alliance that has been built. And therefore they are looking at timing. One second,
No.
I did not interrupt.
How
Rahul,
is that?
I
How
heard
is that? No,
patiently.
come on. You
Rahul,
cannot
I
keep
should at
talking
least get
without
my
making any
opportunity to
sense.
speak. He's interrupting.
Mohan, let's be fair. Let him
I have
speak.
not
I'll
interrupted,
come back
not
to you for a
spoken in the
counter.
middle. Let me
All
make
right,
my
okay,
point.
come back to
How
you
is it
for a counter.
affecting you? I am
Go
getting
ahead.
an opportunity only in 3 rounds once, and there also you are interrupting me. So let me speak my mind. The fact of the matter is that if they were concerned about Manipur, today they would have devoted maximum amount of time on Manipur. They did not. They would have said what have they done in the past. They used to lay statements, not even have a short discussion. The MOS laid a statement at the time when there was the largest amount of killings in Manipur and when there was the largest bandh in Manipur. Also, apart from that, the fact of the matter is that when should Rahul Gandhi speak so that he gets maximum mileage? And now politically that might be all right, but the fact is that this is not about principles at all. They were saying no, on principle issue we want Narendra Modi to be held accountable for this, and therefore we are holding this no confidence motion. We don't have the numbers. So what happened about that? And as far as your opposition unity is concerned, you got 102. We got 131 in what you were describing as the semi-final. So I think, and after that, Mr. Sandeep Dixit and a whole range of Congress leaders have attacked Arvind Kejriwal. So let us not get into the opposition unity bit. The fact is that this is a confidence building exercise for Rahul Gandhi, and his capabilities are very short, and therefore the Congress party is embarrassed to post him forward before the set
voters
time.
will decide, because that's most
Rahul,
important.
let me respond.
Yes, Mohan, very quickly.
I just have to say I love the fact that this entire debate has been made by Shehzad about Rahul Gandhi attacking him from the get-go. It just shows how terrified they are of his growing image.
No,
You had the
Rahul Kawal
CSDs
made it about that. I have better things to discuss.
Actually, no, one second.
Rahul
Mohan
Kawal
Kumar
sends the
Avangalam,
debate. I don't.
You read this wrong. No, can I say you read this wrong? Because it is actually in the BJP's estimate to their advantage. The more this becomes Modi versus Rahul, the more they think they benefit. The more it is Modi versus Team
I don't
India,
think I'm reading it wrong, Rahul. All I'm seeing is him trying to attack Rahul Gandhi without talking, about the merits of anyone else's arguments, and him coming up with some sort of trumped-up charge that we're trying to make this debate entirely about Rahul Gandhi, which isn't the case at all.
I want to walk across and show you some, data sets compiled by the India Today Data Intelligence Unit, which are viraling across social media to give you a sense of some of the context in what we are seeing in Parliament. So I'll start by showing you where the two alliances stand at this moment and how things have moved. So basically, we're expecting that in the 335 is the starting point of the NDA alliance. You can add to this the BJD and the YSRCP MPs, and 144 is where India stands at this moment. Let's just move to the next one. It will show you how vote percentages have moved. If you add up all the NDA alliance partners and the UPA alliance partners, you see that the UPA is at 27, the NDA at 37. So there's a 10% gap still. Let's take a look at the parties that are involved and their vote share. So 18 parties in the NDA, 26 in the UPA, and a lot of smaller parties joining the NDA as well. So taking the number up. So the NDA may have a more number of parties in terms of the sheer number of parties that are part of the NDA, but actual parties on the ground with a strong performance there, the UPA seems to score higher. Let's take a look at the close contests. The battles from the 2019 elections, which were won by a margin of less than 5% of the votes. The BJP won 41 of those, the Congress 19, others 37. And this map gives you a visual representation of where most of those battles are. If you see, in the west, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, most of the battles were clear, decisive victories for the BJP. A lot of the closer battles are battles in states like Bihar, in states like West Bengal, in states like Orissa, in states like Andhra Pradesh. That is where some of the closer battles have taken place. Those are the seats. Why we've looked at seats less than 5% gap between the winner and losers, because those are the seats where the battle is likely to be most fierce, most closely contested. Let's take a look at how long trust votes have typically gone on for. So if you see, the longest trust vote was in 1964, which went on for 6 days. The discussion went on for 6 days. The first one in 1963, when Pandit Nehru was Prime Minister, went on for 4 days. Typically, it's been about 2.5 days. That's the typical duration of the discussion. But some interesting trivia in this timeline representation of how long each of these trust votes went on for. How will we decide, Rahul, who won and to what extent? As far as the numbers are concerned, the numbers very clearly and very strongly with the BJP. What will Mohan Kumaramangalam and the Congress try and take away? How will they try and prove that this no confidence motion actually served some purpose?
See, given the indication with Rahul Gandhi likely to speak on the last day, it seems that all the eggs have been put into Rahul Gandhi basket. It's totally up to Rahul Gandhi. So Shehzad may be right in a way that they are only trying to fix a battle, corner Prime Minister Narendra Modi and fix a summit battle between the two.
Is that a good idea?
I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea primarily because that not only, I will not comment on whether it is good vis-a-vis Modi versus Rahul, who wins. I think it is problematic vis-a-vis India also, because the high-hanging fruit in the India coalition is the fact they don't want to agree on a prime ministerial face. Anybody becoming the big brother or the big leader in the coalition will create jitters, and it is something that they have been trying to postpone, Rahul. 2 meetings, they have not even decided a convener. They may not fight elections together in most of the states. There might be no seat sharing. In a coalition where one-upmanship can be a problem, if Rahul Gandhi, to revive the Congress, sets up a battle, becomes the big brother in the coalition, there can be problems. So I think it can be a good thing for Congress, but for the coalition, which they're trying to represent today, it can become a problem.
No, and the fact that the Congress has attempted so often, Mohan Kumaramangalam, to reinvent Rahul Gandhi and failed each time. They seem to think now, because of the Bharat Jodo Yatra, because he's just been reinstated as a member of parliament, that this time will be different. But if you look at the eloquence, the public speaking skills of both these contenders, Rahul Gandhi, very likely on day 3, has a very uphill task against him. I mean, I don't know, judge one way or the other, but he really does have a very uphill task against him. Do you want to put him under so much pressure?
I think he'll rise to the occasion as he always has in the past. And I also will say that you think he's failed, but your numbers say otherwise. If I go by the numbers you're quoting from your Lok Niti CSTS survey, which shows that after Bharat
There's still a big gap. He was losing with a massive margin. Now he's losing with a slightly less massive margin, but a massive margin nonetheless.
If you let me finish, Rahul, what I'm saying is that we are about 10 months away from Parliament. Everyday things matter. So trajectory is what matters more than anything else. Yes, there is a gap. I'm not denying it. But I'm telling you that in terms of trajectory, he's making strides every day.
Shehzad, Surya Kumar Yadav was dismissed as a failed batsman. The Congress thinks Rahul Gandhi can do a Surya Kumar Yadav, come back from the dead and show that he's King Kong.
Whether Rahul Gandhi turns out to be Surya Kumar Yadav or he turns out to be a night watchman, it's not our issue. Our issue is that we have a star batsman in the form of Narendra Modi. Now please ask Mr. Dev whether he agrees with Mr. Mohan Kumaraswamy, whether that Rahul Gandhi is the rising star of the alliance.
My name
is it acceptable to Mr. Dev that it's not Mamta Banerjee, it is not Akhilesh Yadav, it is not anybody else, but it is only Rahul Gandhi.
You are not answering my question about...
has with his statements confirmed that no other leader can match up, only Rahul.
Yes, Vishwajit Da.
Sir, I feel sorry for you.
We have categorically explained this. We have categorically explained this, that this is an issue to be decided after the elections are over. After we defeat Mr. Narendra Modi and his NDA, then the 26 parties of the India Alliance will sit together
But
and
you
decide
tell that to Congress,
about
why
the
are you telling
leadership.
me?
That has been made very clear.
Tell Congress.
Now
Say you tell Congress, why are you telling me? I am not involved in your alliance matters.
That the House was not being allowed to function by the opposition, that's not a fact. It is the government, it is the ruling party which did not allow the House to function.
Can I ask a question?
Okay, I'm out of time. I'm out of time.
One small question.
10 seconds. I'm out of time.
Mr. Dev,
could not raise their voices.
Mr. Dev, just on administrative experience, does Mamata Banerjee have more experience than Rahul?
The bulldozing.
Does
They
Mamata
have been
Banerjee,
bulldozing.
just on administrative experience, have more experience than
Of
Rahul?
course she does.
So scared
The
of the India
opposition
alliance and
parties.
its unity.
The
He
opposition
can't even answer for Mamata Didi.
Okay, I'm out of
His
time.
party will take
So
action
we
on
will
this.
have a day 2 and we will have a day 3.
No, you can't
You
have
have not allowed
Tomorrow?
the opposition to raise their voices.
So you have 2 days to raise your voice and say what you will, and let the people of India judge what they think of what the government is saying, what they think of what the opposition is saying. We will track this political debate as best as we can. I want to thank our guests for joining us. The Congress thinks that Rahul Gandhi is more credible than he has been since 2014. And post the Bharat Jodo Yatra and post his reinstatement, they think he has more political chops than he has so far. But remember, he's up against the most dominating politician of this generation. Can he punch hard enough to land blows, or will Prime Minister Modi just decimate everything in his wake once he comes and bats last? We will track that very closely. I'm slipping into a break. Coming up on the other side, showdown over news portal NewsClick escalates. BJP alleges left leader Prakash Karat's involvement in the scandal. Details on the other side.
Communal flashpoint at Delhi's doorstep. Amidst the flames and rioting, India Today reporters fearless on the ground.
Stone pelting was so aggressive from the both sides.
Entire market in the area has been shut right now. Attacked the cyber police station of Noor.
Facts, questions,
What resulted in the communal clashes?
and first-hand reports.
एकदम ही पत्थर आए हैं ऊपर से छतों पे से गोली चल चली है पीछे वाला शीशा टूट लिया
100% accuracy amidst the blaze. We track the face of every story. India Today. India United. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 38 and minimum 28 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 31 and minimum 27 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 31 and minimum 25 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 26 and minimum 22 degrees. Chennai, maximum 34 and minimum 28 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 30 and minimum 22 degrees.
The showdown over news portal NewsClick has escalated after claiming that the Congress had a China link. The BJP is now alleging that left leader Prakash Karat is involved in the scandal. Emails accessed by India Today reporters show the website NewsClick was asked to defend China on COVID and push Beijing's propaganda during the border clashes. Munish Pandey with these details.
India Today unravels Congress-China link. A day after the government lashed out at the Congress and news website NewsClick, email exchanges have now emerged showing how Chinese propagandists were in direct touch with media in India. This is billionaire Neville Roy Singham, who's been accused of Chinese propaganda, emailing NewsClick director Prabir Purkhayas and CPM leaders like Prakash Karat with a Praise China toolkit. Sources tell India Today these email exchanges occurred during significant periods, including the early days of the COVID outbreak, during farmer protests in India, and the persisting border tensions between India and China. The way these emails were structured, it clearly reveals a clear inclination towards promoting Chinese propaganda.
The email conversations recorded by the Enforcement Directorate during the searches not only talk about how to keep China in a good light as far as its pandemic handling is concerned, but it also talks about some of the sensitive issues like India-China border. But the most important part is the email conversation with CPIM leader Prakash Karat, and the Bharatiya Janata Party has not only targeted opposition over this, but they have also raised this matter before the parliament.
Not just that, in stunning revelation, emails also talk about collaborations of the Indian communists with the Chinese. Sources say Prakash Karat expressed his satisfaction with the Chinese peace, despite knowing anti-China sentiments.
यदि न्यूज क्लिक का नाम यदि डिलीट या रेस्टोर हो गया, कांग्रेस को क्या समस्या है सर? न्यूज क्लिक आपका कौन लगता है? पुरकास्ट का नाम यदि रेस्टोर हो गया, पुरकास्ट आपका क्या लगता है? प्रकाश कारात साहब, उनका पूरा का पूरा मेल मैं ऑन रिकॉर्ड आपको लाना चाहता हूं कि जो वो नेवेली राय सिंघम था उसके साथ उनके हजारों मेल हैं, और जब आप कहेंगे मैं ऑन रिकॉर्ड उसको पेश कर दूंगा सर.
The government has now sharpened its attack on the Congress.
कांग्रेस का हाथ न्यूज़ क्लिक के साथ, कम्युनिस्ट बाकी दल ये भी उनका सहयोग करते रहे, लेकिन कांग्रेस का हाथ न्यूज़ क्लिक के साथ, न्यूज़ क्लिक के ऊपर चाइना का हाथ. तो किसका हाथ कहाँ मिला है सबको समझ आता है.
कल जो है सर न्यूज क्लिक के ऊपर बड़ा हंगामा हुआ.
The Congress meanwhile has strongly objected to the comment made by the BJP leaders, calling them defamatory and demanding that the allegations made by Nishikant Dubey in Parliament must be expunged.
The mic of a particular BJP member, Mr. Dubey, was switched on and he proceeded to speak. And his sound was the only one coming through the translation headsets and through the record of the House, in which he levelled defamatory and libelous accusations against our party and by name two of its leaders. He cannot do so without giving notice in advance and getting the consent of the Speaker, which he had not done.
With more and more evidence emerging of the China NewsClick nexus to peddle Xi propaganda, the political fight is also heating up. With Munish Pandey in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
This is where I wrap up the news track tonight. We'll track day 2 of what happens in Parliament all through the day, live across the India Today network. I look forward to seeing you at 8 p.m. tomorrow. Goodbye. Good night.
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 38 and minimum 28 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 31 and minimum 27 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 31 and minimum 25 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 26 and minimum 22 degrees. Chennai, maximum 34 and minimum 28 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 30 and minimum 22 degrees.